All right. What's up, folks? Let's talk about a scumbag at the White House. He's a porcelain, no, he ain't in porcelain. He a dingy, wannabe, porcelain complected scumbag Epstein Island pedophile teammate. Better known to some of you fools is Donald Trump, your apprentice. Let's go into this racial crap that spews out of the filth hole in his face about what he's saying. I was just saying this the other day about this fool and about how he's trying to tear down everything as it relates to civil rights and like always right fashion because it's so easy to predict things in this day and age. Uh, something leaks about what a conversation that Trump was having. Also, conversation. Let me break the bad news to my cousin, who's a super believer of Donald Trump, about Donald Trump and this change that he believes that he's getting. Where Donald Trump seemed to not know that he stated that people will be getting $2,000 checks, and they were supposed to come in the middle of the year. Now Trump is talking about the end of the year, which we all know. If you have any goddamn lick of sense, you know that ish ain't happening. You ain't touching a penny. But let's go back into this little scumbag buffoon known to you guys as Donald Trump. So in Donald Trump's statement in this interview, they asked about the civil rights thing, and Donald Trump believes that civil rights uh, it did very bad things for whites. A lot of people were very badly treated in his mixed up way of speaking the English language. He says white people were very badly treated. Says where they did extremely well. Says and they were not invited to go into the universities to college. This is what Trump is saying, that it affected whites. Whites were so hurt by the civil rights movement. But what Trump fails to realize, and what many whites who want to cry about this shit, is they failed to realize that civil rights failed to do what it was intended to do for black folks. And that's the knock on Trump head, and where Trump can spew out this kind of ignorant shit because he's around, for one, the wrong type of black folks. He's around them program type of black folks, and he's around a lot of uneducated white folks as well. And so for him to speak about civil rights and the damage it did for white folks who ain't not been given nothing but privilege in the system and have also benefited from the goddamn civil rights laws and shit. Like, so this fool don't knock that shit off. It's just like comical whenever you listen to this fool. This is just comical stuff. Says what he says, wrong type of black folks. Says laugh out loud. Yeah, he around the wrong type of black folks, Donald Trump. Donald Trump spends his time around these type of black folks who want to, you know, uh, uh, apologize and you know, uh, uh, apologize for what has happened to white folks is what these type of black folks do. Mainly folks a part of these churches who were taught these people version of religion and shit. And he says, what is the type of says what is the right type of black folks? The right type of black folks, the ones who live like Americans. I can't wait to get into y'all comments, but you should hold your comments while I go in my talk because I get comments later. You think you appear new over here. I don't get thrown off by comments. That's another thing. But going into this thing about the idiotic statements from an imbecile from out of Europe, making these little immigrant, newly arrived statements as if he's part of America and part of American history, and being that he's been in a position that is a powerful position, being titled as the commander in chief and trying to erase a lot of history, and in which he cannot do any of that shit. He can leave his scars in America and be a forgotten God. But to make such a vile statement about civil rights and then to paint as if whites have been victims inside this country, when whites have been given everything in this country, whites ain't never went through suffering. Even every immigrant group that is allowed to come over here in huge waves across a wide ass ocean, brought over here, assisted in defining their path into moving up, high up into this new system, this new Europe over here that has been built by black folks. And the only people inside this country who have ever had to take a stand inside of against America, I'll say that, have been black folks, people who derive from the descendants of slaves and Africans, and also people who've been captured who were here, not white folks. And what is the main population of people inside this country as far as white folks? What remains today, or what exists today inside the white population, are people who are brand new over here, who are newly arrived into this country. A lot of whites don't have this history that has existed for a very long time in this country. Some of y'all ain't even been here since the civil rights era. A lot of y'all are newly arrived here since the goddamn 50s and shit. A lot of you weren't even here during the Second World War. A lot of you are being brought over here in the waves that America goes through. These patterns of waves that occur here in America. So we get huge immigration waves, but then people sit there and cry about people coming from south of the border. Like, that's the most ridiculous shit I've ever heard in my life. But then we welcome people from a foreign land on the opposite end of an ocean. It's crazy to me. But for this dude to talk about what damage civil rights did to white folks is the most asinine shit I've ever heard. Because whites ain't never suffer anything. You still deal with the damage of discrimination at all institutional levels within the system. Blacks are still discriminated in schools. And this is the other thing. We haven't even seen much economic growth amongst black people since the civil rights thing, because we always get the interference of whites like Donald Trump who go into politics, and the fact that black folks sit here and ignore the shit politically, turn the blind eye to the shit politically. We'll get out here and grind for shit, but then turn away from the goddamn ballot, and then be tricked in some of our most profound speakers within movements inside the black revolutions inside of America, but speak so much against what we should be doing politically and turn the blind eye to shit, and we get everything wiped away. The civil rights even turn into loopholes to where white folks even benefit from that shit. And then all these newly arrived Europeans who come over here and benefit from this shit. The Latinos who come here and benefit off of this shit. So Trump can't say a goddamn thing. The only thing that has hurt white folks is the lack of effort and the unwillingness to really work hard. As life in America is handed to a lot of these fools, and it doesn't translate into their hard work. A lot of them may lose their jobs. There's a reason why American jobs don't exist here anymore. For one, they did pull away to try to break away blacks' economic growth. That was one of the damaging things, because it's blacks, because of the our hard work and the efforts we put in, our migrations across this country. This is the reason behind you have a migration of blacks out the South, moving into the Midwest to go find jobs, busting our ass, working hard as anyone can ever work, before you ever think about Latinos, because Latinos are ones who are thought as, the hardworking labor force. And that's something extremely new inside of America. The hardworking group, as we segment everything based on a racial demographic, were always blacks. And blacks will move into a lot of these hard laboring jobs and finding huge economic benefits in the work that they done, able to provide things for their family, homes, vehicles, clothes, and better education. And then moving into cities with greater opportunities, families owning home, dealing with even racial discrimination in housing. Whites didn't deal with no shit like that. Whites didn't deal with discrimination in hiring, and even how far they move up in a company. So what the fuck is Trump talking about? This is why you don't let chumps like Trump run narratives or speak on shit. Because these fools, being with Donald Trump immigrant history, knows not a damn thing except hotels and apartments. That's it. He don't know shit. He's a certified idiot. And this is what the reason why this country is plunging to the bottom of the Pacific. Because this fool, we got a dummy like this fool who makes such ignorant ass statements on shit he knows nothing about. Hell, he don't even know about giving people tariff dividends or whatever the hell he call it. And then this is the other thing, man. I laughed at some shit when I went into the military, and this, like I say, this over 20 some years ago. And it was a white dude who I was in there with, and this fool was, because he was older dude. He was older. He was probably like close to 30. He was old for like recruitment, because even if you're in your 30s, which is relatively young still, it's considered old going into the military. This dude might have been, I think this dude might have been 30 something or some shit like that. Uh, but he was, and back then I'm like 17 when I first go in. I'm 17, and I forgot we was having a conversation, but I laughed at this white dude. I laughed in his face like a motherfucker because I really wanted him to fight, because I wanted to offend him, because he brought up a statement about affirmative action, how affirmative action screwed him out of a position within the LA County. Yeah, he was from LA. I think it was LA. Yeah, he within the LA County Fire Department, where he wasn't recruited or some shit, because he wasn't going in the military as active duty. He was going in as a reservist or some shit like that, because he's still gonna try to pursue that career within firefighting and shit. And so this fool was sitting there crying about affirmative action. Mine, a black dude, he telling this shit too. I laughed in his fucking face. I said, maybe the black person just better than you. I said, we tend to be stronger than you, we faster than you, and we think smarter than you. Because I always took that from how blacks used to be discriminated, even going to serve the country in war, and why we couldn't be pilots and all this type of shit. Like I said, whites ain't never dealt with shit inside of this damn country. The most whites deal with is this country going to fight other European countries and then bomb and destroy their countries. And then guess what? We bring them back over here. Like the fuck? Let's go into the chat and let me read what Mark Summers what Mark Summers has wrote, and this dude named what is his name? S. Javer, whatever your name, S. Javar, however you say. I'm gonna just call you S. I don't know how you pronounce that shit. And one thing, since you're new here, I always school a lot of the whites who come over here just due to their ignorance, because your parents and grandparents have been ignorant because they just arrived here. They know nothing about America. And therefore, you guys spew out the ignorance of your parents and grandparents. But then I got to educate you. And I wish you'd bring your parents and grandparents over here so I can further educate the family, because of the flaws of the grandparents. The grandparents in them which have brought y'all over here, or maybe your parents were the first ones to arrive here, out of your ignorance, and you figure never asking the question of why you guys ended up here, because things were fucked up over there in a European country. And we look at things as we look towards this planet, and where everything we look at as what makes, we get all this shit politically and global. We deal with climate accords and peace accords and all this other shit. What is this other thing where we deal with protecting of certain species of animals and all this other shit? It is all due to people like you who have fucked up the planet, where we're dealing with a warming, and I'm pretty sure a warmer climate will affect you guys. We're dealing with the extinction of animals due to you guys. We're dealing with the destructions of populations and cultures because of you guys. A threat to humanity because of you guys, being for the fact that you lack the ability to fight. Then you get the nerds to look into atomic shit, develop very powerful lenses to figure out the atom and how to split that shit, dealing with other chemicals to figure out how to use it for bombs and shit. It comes down to that. So let me go into the comments now, so you get a better gist of who Reg is and the brilliance of Reg, homie. Mark Summers writes the first comment. He wrote this as soon as I set this up. He saw this one. This one made him cry, because like every live stream I do, Mark Summers is the first dude over here who receives the greatest education that he has never received out of a suburbanized household. And then so let me read this one. Mark Summers says blacks okay, says what he says, blacks okay, says up all the good city jobs. What the hell he says black? Oh, he meant took. So you missed the T. And Mark Summers, don't you come from an English land, or maybe y'all are foreigners and shit. But I thought you came from a European country that talked English and shit. How you can't write English? Like, damn, what the hell? Maybe y'all landed in another country before you came to America. All right, so I'll excuse you. You just missed it. It's an honest mistake. He says blacks took up all the good city jobs. Says if you were black, says you were hired. It says great benefits, says in good pay. It says whites could only get a job, says at the Gap in their but I'm glad you wrote that comment, Mark Summers, because this is how I'm gonna destroy you, and this is why I know you don't think. And I love when you write comments. I love when people from your environment writes these comments. I think blacks should get the city jobs because blacks tend to populate the cities of America. Whites live outside the city and in the suburbanized areas. Why should jobs go to you? You don't live in the area. Therefore, we can avoid the commute, we can cut back on accidents, and we can cut back on traffic versus having you guys commute into the city that you don't live in. And to provide city work for people who don't look like you and who are not your neighbors. So yeah, the job should not go to you, but that ain't even the truth. That ain't even the truth, but it should be. Patricia Shelton in the building. Salute to Sister Patricia Shelton in the building. Brandon Washington in the building says salute, and another one. Absolutely salute. Brandon, who's also a Trump supporter. But I wonder if he supports Trump in these statements. I seriously doubt it. Always right with Reggie Owens, homie. Velocity Cuss says time for the Pittsburgh Steelers to fire Mike Tomlin, says an Arthur Smith. Yeah, probably so, but we own Donald Trump in the comments that he made, not the Steelers. And then I don't know how you say your name. I'd say 87 says wrong type of black folks, says laugh out loud. Yeah, you want me to show you the wrong type of black person? Let me show you that real quick for those who are foolish and may not know certain things. And let me see. Let me show you the type of black person. Let me show you the wrong type. Let me see. Let me show you these types. These are the types that are around the Trumps. Give me 1 second, pull this one up. I forget this dude's name, but this is the type of black folks that the Trumps like. Whites who are uncomfortable around, real blacks, intimidating looking blacks to y'all, the type of blacks that make you want to own guns, type of blacks that make you really talk this Second Amendment shit because, like I say, you motherfuckers are the cowards of the world. Because when it came to fighting and the fact you're getting your asses whooped, it caused the nerds amongst your group to figure out you getting your ass whooped so bad that the motherfucking bullies in your group start pushing the nerds. They start pressing the nerds. You need to learn to split the atom, man. We need to split that atom. We need to learn how to make these damn rifles and guns, and we need to put shields on. The shields ain't working. Many motherfuckers cracking our jaws through this motherfucking metal suit we got on. We need some pistols and shit. And then it start getting to where you motherfuckers need to develop the atom, because once Abe Lincoln, the great old Abe, put guns in our hands as well. Mind, we leave the fields of slavery from fucking y'all women and then getting guns along with y'all and destroyed you motherfuckers. And then it leads to where you motherfuckers can't fight. Everybody else can balance out weapons. Now you fuckers need to learn how to split amp. We need an atomic bomb. Now what's going to be the next bomb? These motherfuckers have made atomic bomb. Now the secret is to figure out how to develop a bomb that'll make, now it's a race to get your bomb over to the other side faster. So now you'd have made a hypersonic super bionic missile to get your nuke. You motherfucking retarded fucks on this planet. You laughed out loud. Oh, let me go back into the wrong type of black folks. So this is the ones. I think this dude name is, what's this fool name? Y'all know who this fool name. I always forget this damn delusional coon ass dude, but here he is. It's these type of. Hold on, listen to the statement from this fool. These are the type of black folks that certain whites love.
You speak very well and you're black. How did that happen?
What does that mean?
You speak well. You speak like a white person. How did that happen?
He said,
how did that happen?
All proper and right, and you can understand you. You're using the right
and this dude is serious.
How did that happen?
I'm confused by your question. How do I?
You speak like a white man.
I do?
Yeah, and that's good, not bad. But I'm just wondering, how did that happen?
Or
like Jesse Lee
do I speak like a black man?
No.
Oh, I don't speak like a black man? Black men are well-read. We go to college. We take care of our kids. We pay our taxes. We do our responsibility. So I don't know how that is white. I know that's what black men do. Absolutely. That's what I know.
Absolutely. That's what black folks do. Not that no jumper nigga shit. but real black folks highlight intelligent shit. Black folks take pride in being intelligent. Black folks take pride in having kids, loving them, that kind of shit. Not the shit that people wish they can program on black folks. So, that's the lessons I'm teaching, especially to I don't know what side this 87 cat is on or whether or not he's like a Mark Summers, but I'm always here to teach. That's why I don't block people out the chat. You can write whatever you want. I don't take anything as disrespectful, man. My emotional intelligence is superior than a motherfucker. I kick white supremacy in the ass anytime you're gonna hear me talk. Don't use the other word. You hear me say superior intelligence for myself, but never say superiority and placing a race on that shit. Shit is mute from my fucking vocabulary. Can't speak it. And then and he says, what is the right type of black folks? Not the Jesse Lee dude, but the other guy on the couch. And then Velocity Cuz said, hey, Cuz said, you see this shit, which I'm not pulling up. I'm talking on this, so you should just wrote what it was. 87 says, what the hell are y'all writing on me? Let me get to why I'm real big about how y'all write, man. So let me play this for you, homeboy, because you're new in here. So you gotta learn to write. Make sure your writing is proper. This is also for Mark Summers.
It's so funny.
Man, you reading like you slow, cuz.
I can go twice as high.
Nah, it just show up different. Y'all never went live before. It look different. What's going down? It's a lot of comments on here. Cuz can't read. Who can't read? Derek Harris. Who is that?
Take a look. It's in a book.
Screenshot SS that shit for me, please. What do SS mean? Can somebody help me with that? I don't know what SS mean. Get off here. Get off here. I know I'm here. I'm here.
All right, so we here. We back in here. So, man, take your time when you writing, homeboy, because I'm going to take my time in breaking down everything you wrote. So he says he was trying to write where the type of black folks says that you are talking about trying to delete history, says trying to delete history by changing college names and removal of statues, because I think those are white folks actually doing that as well. And for the fact that when they recognize, and you pay attention to black folks who speak, speak intellectually and speak about history and speak about facts, that there shouldn't be no institutions with the name of any Confederate who are actually treason, who are actual traitors to the United States. There should be no monuments and no institutions named after people who committed treason. And those are people who represented the South. So the removal of them is the right thing. But because we have so many backwards ass people that run the politics in this country, you get institutions named like that. And the monuments should not exist here. They're losers for once. Remember what I was talking about? How slaves who come from fucking white women whose fathers owned the plantations to leaving there. And then there's a war going on that Lincoln tried to leave us out of. And then Lincoln recognized we can't win. There'll be a stalemate between us two fighting. Let's bring in these greater guys who are more superior, more gifted, and harder fighters who come from a warrior class of people. Give them some weapons and let's see what happened. And we saw what happened. People still crying the South will rise. Sure, it will never. So that's what we get. And so since there are losers and actual traitors to the United States, get them the fuck out of here. All right, so that's the quick lesson to you. And then he says, you're saying what to something. You got to add, you just can't say what. But maybe that's your reaction, but I can't respond to what because it's going to always be minutes after, way after. So you should expand on what you're reacting to. They give you about 200 words to write with. I'm just teaching, man. I love to teach because I'm a student as well. And then 87 says, so what you are stating is that there is no history in the United States of white slavery, right? Here he go trying to add white people into this slavery shit. I guess Elvis picked cotton too. Because I remember a white dude on here talking about Elvis picking cotton and shit. So I guess that's what you're hitting at. So what was the white suffering and slavery and shit? There are white people who brought in here as what they were termed at before they came to the United States as, what do you call them? What were the Brits calling them people? Peasants and whatever shit. You know, the lower class, the poor whites, are people who are termed as the white trash, or the lower class in the economic structure of the capitalists who originate out of Europe, right? But as far as them being slave and all this other stuff, chattel and all that shit, white people never went through that shit. So you can put an end to that. You can't compare us and you guys in the history of this country. Absolutely not. Where y'all in the fields working. If y'all pick cotton, y'all working on family's farm. As simple as that. Family probably didn't have enough money to buy slaves at the auction. And then 87 says weren't Italians and Irish treated very poorly in the United States in the early stages of the United States? Oh my fucking! I hear this damn idiot talk about Irish and poor. I think Irish and Italians run damn near everything in New York, everything in Chicago. So how were they treated badly? For the fact that when you think they were treated badly, it was nowhere to house these motherfuckers. They were brought over here in droves. Why? Because their country was fucked up from something. Maybe there was a disease killing everybody. Maybe there's some war that they started and plunged their economy, and the people needed asylum somewhere. Where can they go? To New Europe, this stolen land. I love when y'all be writing this stupid shit, because I got to teach y'all, because y'all parents ain't teach y'all. The more retarded ass pastors and priests didn't teach y'all that shit. And the schools y'all come from didn't teach y'all none of this shit. A lot of that shit, this is why people are rejecting so much shit out of what they've been taught. Because you get whitewashed so much shit, and then you come across a motherfucker like me decades later who don't talk none of that shit. I can decipher it from that shit. I don't even preach out shit when black people talk made up shit. But the fact that Irish and Italians were treated badly, how? Italians were allowed to come over here and be fucking scumbags of society, be criminals, and they, even through their criminality, were able to rise in this motherfucker. What the hell are you talking about? They ran all the contracts in one of the biggest cities in New York when they ain't build shit in it. They came here late and was giving shit, giving welfare. Let's put them in position and set them up. What are you talking about? And over in Jersey, we're going to find a place to house. Just give us time. So now you guys are fighting amongst each other, but you were bypassing everybody else who had already been in New York way before they arrived here. So Irish and Italians treated bad by who? Don't think so. They can make all this Gang of New York shit and whatever movie you watch to create some bullshit like that, but it's false. They were brought here with nowhere to house their ass. They just flooded, coming through Ellis Island and shit. And droves, but the intention was we can use them to replace this black population. Let them start up their own factories and this and that. As you know, wealth was pouring in, the gilded shit, that gilded age shit. That's when y'all start coming over here in like the 20s and shit. Learn your own history. Fucking idiot. No, but I'm glad you're here though. I'm glad you're over on my channel, because I like to speak this shit, respond to all this type of stuff, but also respond to it through like factual historic shit. But like I say, Donald Trump don't know what the fuck he talking about the damage civil rights did to white folks. The hell Trump talking about? I guess blacks are supposed to just sit there and just take the abuse of white folks, I guess. But like, once again, Trump has no solutions to anything. And he says, you don't even know American. Man, I'm teaching you American history right here on the fly, homeboy. You don't see me having to open books, none of that shit. I'm teaching y'all what your old brother and sister, who are better known as your grandparents, didn't teach y'all. And then Mark Summers says, yes, in Chinese at 87. The Chinese? Oh my God, you want to talk? Chinese are treated bad by white folks. The fuck you talking about? The Chinese were treated worse than any European that came here. Europeans weren't treated bad here. Europeans were allowed to come here and homestead all through this motherfucker. Europeans were allowed to come over here after not building shit and then send the military to further expand west, taking land and territory away from natives, and allow Europeans to set up land and homestead on this mug. And they ain't even citizens to this motherfucker. Oh, Reggie is here for the history shellacking, homeboy. And then 87 says I don't think civil rights did bad things to white folks. Says I think it did. Says I think it did bad things to black people. No. The writing of the Civil Rights Act was meant to just be. It should have been just specific for blacks. And I'm glad you recognize that civil rights. So you oppose Donald Trump's ignorance. I'm glad you recognize that shit. But it opened doors for black folks. But it should only been intended for black folks. That's why a lot of black historians, black people out of the black American revolutionary movements speak passionately about the flaws of the civil rights legislation and the fact that it should have just been exclusive for blacks. This is why people have issues in this modern age who mix this shit up when they talk about what's done for fucking the Asian bills, for the homosexuals and all that other shit. How things are exclusive to them. Not to say minority rights and all that other shit, because minority adds into a lot of fucking just vague shit. It adds anybody to jump into this group of being minorities. That's where white women can jump in that shit. That's like they talk about Trump ignorance and talk about DEI and all that shit. And he bringing all these unqualified ass white folks in there who can't run shit. And the reason why the country is so incompetent and falling apart and failing. What's that? White power and shit? Yeah. Powered by Trump. That shit fall apart like a motherfucker. It is. So let me keep cooking, man. I love these topics, and I love when they draw new guests into this mug with new questions, because I cook on all this shit with no books. And then 87 says I think you are viewing it from the wrong point of view. There is no wrong point of view to view that from, but the one that you respond from, an idiot making a statement. Civil rights did nothing to harm white folks at all. And then going back into this thing about how blacks were, moving in these opportunities, moving out of the South, going to the North for opportunities, out working, out competing whites, taking jobs, moving west, out competing, taking jobs from whites. Everything's about production. We don't get them in. We don't get in the hardest working groups. That's why they start bringing immigrant class up in here. Blacks start finding their own upward mobility, start opening their own businesses. And when you start doing that, the wealthy class of whites start to view this shit as different. These motherfuckers buying homes, they're opening businesses, they're moving into politics, they're winning the elections, they're becoming mayors, city council people. These city council people have a right on whether we get this new project or not. This is why politics is so important to you stupid motherfuckers out there. They get to make decisions on whether we get approved for this project. We can open this, blah, 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 da. F that. Let's take away the power from them, and also from these complaining whites who barely give anything, who are part of these unions. Let's bust the unions. Fuck it. Let's send the jobs across seas. This will be bugging me when we had these conversations with people, and I'll be like, people don't know what the fuck they talking about. And that's why I love proving people who don't know what they talking about wrong all fucking day. Until it wakes everybody up to where we smarter about shit. We know how to properly look at shit. Like, that's the type of shit I'll be on, and I'll be passionate about that shit. But never wrong lens viewing that shit from. Trump made the stupid ass statement. Maybe Trump looked at it from the wrong lens or point of view. And then 87 says I think you should be seeing it as finding some common ground to work united. Don't talk united over here. You go talk united at the White House. You go on whitehouse.gov and talk that united shit with that idiot. You go to @Trump Truth Social and talk that united shit to that idiot. You go to Trump Instagram and talk that united shit to that dummy. Not over here because you worried about what I speak being the sentiments of millions of other motherfuckers, which it is. and we don't sound like the fool from Instagram clip that I just played. This type of shit worries white folks like you who want to puppet around the lower tier of black folks and to think in a way you want them to think, so they be like poor whites who get pimped by wealthier whites. Like, get the fuck out of here with the dumb shit. But that don't mean leave. That means stay here while I continue to teach you, because your parents ain't done it. Your pastor and priest ain't done it. Your grandparents and other relatives ain't done it. The school ain't do it. Your friends ain't do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to help you out, because I'm going to talk real American shit, because I'm a true American, and I believe in America. And America ain't white. So we going to unite tonight, goddammit, because America ain't white. And it ain't this shit with Trump, who's nothing but a corporate grifter is what people, the term people use, grifting. He's a corporate grifter who pimped the hell out of fucking retarded whites who want to be mega and want to be Tea Party one year, and then y'all going to be some other shit. He pimped y'all. He was for the people. He was going to drain the political swamp, and only all y'all found was the shit hidden before the swamp could get drained was his ass. And now he has realigned himself with who he truly intended to be with, and that being around the corporate, greedy criminal. Simple as that. America first. Laughter, homie. That was the biggest joke on the planet, and only the dummies fell for it. Straight up pimp these fools, because we live in a world full of dummies in this mug. But once again, they dumb because the people who came over here on the other side of the ocean came here with no knowledge of what's over here. They're just dumb, trying to run from something from way over there. Y'all was running from a lot of shit: disease, genocide, persecution over religious beliefs, and you didn't pay your tithes and some shit, all this other shit. Y'all running from a lot of shit to come over here and then bring this shit over here. Who's this crazy, y'all? Mark Summers says, I never seen Reggie change his I never seen Reggie change his opinion on anything once he gets talking to 87. No, because Reggie won't change his opinion listening to people like you. Too smart for that shit. I don't get influenced. You see, if you know me, you know I don't get influenced by motherfuckers, and I don't follow people at all. And I think a lot of people should learn to not follow people. And then y'all claim y'all read the Bible and shit, but then y'all worship other people like they're gods and shit. This is how confused you people are in the world. You believe one thing and then you violate the shit. People is dumb. 87 says this is because he doesn't listen. Says his position is to hear. It says his position is to hear, to reply. Why you write like that? His position is to hear, to. You gotta learn to write, bro. So that's why I would not listen. I can't listen to you when you don't know how to write. So what the hell you gonna write? If you want to speak on some shit, y'all can hold off on comments. I would drop the link. But you got to promise you're going to jump on here to speak. I don't cut people off. I don't talk over people. We actually have intellectual conversations. You even hear the conversation when we going back and forth cussing each other out on here. If people pay attention how we do shit on here, we go back and forth and you still, and then we be talking like straight up brothers as time moves on and shit. Some people be trolling other people, mess with people, but we always in talking like brothers. So let me know, 87. That you want to get on here to speak your opinion on this shit. After I get through the comments, I would drop the link for you to speak. I love to hear Trump-aligned people speak, or people who view things as them losing the country to black folks. I love to cook, and if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. So Mark Summers ain't gonna never click the link. He's just a chat writer, because he jumped on the chat. He jumped on the chat one time, and he was so unconfident in himself because he got a weird speaking voice that he rather use the keyboard to let people, depict, how he speaks and shit. Or you use your own voice in place of his because he sound weird as shit. And then Mark Summers says affirmative action was needed at some time. Says it's not needed anymore. Yeah, right. Affirmative action is definitely needed. Ain't nothing you can't change. Racist ass people, that shit don't die out in people. Until you address people who are bigots, you would never change that shit and think opportunities are fair for people. Like, you sound dumb as hell. So if you realize and recognize that it was needed, it is still needed. And it's definitely needed with Trump-like people infiltrating politics. And there's been a deep infiltration in politics because black folks have fallen asleep on this shit and have become drawn into this liberal shit that they talk. Like, black people got so damn dumb, and that's why niggas can't get their $2,000 checks from this punk who now talks about he didn't realize he said that shit. And then now he didn't realize he can't make it in the middle of the damn year. He got to do it at the end of the year. But then I was looking at some shit earlier from another knowledgeable, well-schooled economics person who spoke about the amount of tariffs that they're collecting. They will not be able to do it. And especially Trump talking about using it to pay down the debt. After paying out this money to the people who qualify for it, there ain't gonna be shit left in it. Trump is full of shit. And he knows it. And then a news reporter asked him, this is where he makes the same statement about civil rights being harmful and discriminatory towards whites. I'll be always right on this shit. I'll be loving that shit. I do be loving that shit. 87 says victim mentality says it's done too much wrong into this generation, such as victim mentality from whites. Whites sit there and cry and act like they lost the country. This and that has been done to them. Whites ain't dealt with shit. The only victim mentality, and I understand, yes, some black people do play that victim mentality, got every right, but white people should be complaining about shit. And you guys are the biggest criers of victims. When I looked on January 6th, when Trump lost that shit, I seen a bunch of people look like Trump crying over this motherfucker. Climbing a building. Victim mentality, motherfuckers. Victim mentality, people. Crybabies of the Second Amendment right. Crybabies. Crying about this. Crying. Every time you look up, it's one of y'all crying. And then have the audacity to cry about blacks doing this and taking that. Get the fuck out of here. You fools ain't went through nothing in a country that is supposed to be a country that is united and free, that does so much for people who ain't done nothing to it, but just come here and have gained in it. Welfare just rolled out to y'all, all type of shit. And then you claim that other people has victim mentalities. Like, you don't come from a line or history of people who have went through anything. Come over here, newly arrived, land given to you. Even the ones who arrive over here now, all type of resources given to you. You come over here, you end up in the best schools. We got a lot of Europeans that arrive in here. I don't see them going to none of the worst schools in America. I barely see them. You don't see them in black communities and shit. And especially the more paler they are, the more Nordic looking they are as white folks, they would never allow these type of white folks in there. You don't even see them. It's almost like, damn, how the hell are they sneaking over here? Immigration is an odd thing to me. Like, how are these people just popping up and arriving here? How is this shit going down? I would love to see this shit at the airport or at the harbors. However, people getting over here now, this shit is way the hell out. And then in the 87 says, let's try to interact, says on an intellectual level, says not using curse. No, we cuss, brother. Just not being a non-cussing person don't make you intellectual. But I also recognize that you didn't say drop the link neither. See, this is how terror reigns through the bloodstream of folks like y'all. Y'all be afraid to speak because you realize ain't no puppet shit over here. This ain't no can we all just get along type of dude with me. And when I say I'll drop the link for y'all to jump on the panel, terror reigns. Why? We talk regular talk. We talk real intellectually cussing. And then he says, so let's try to handle it. Let's try to handle and combo. This fool can't even write properly. And then 87 says, wasn't he right about it though? Says Trump is never right about anything. And then he says, do you think that your qualifications should grant you a position? Says, are the color of your skin. And what that means, Trump administration shouldn't be all white. Because he's basing shit based on the color of skin and the color of hair. But are you questioning that shit? But then when it pertains to some black shit, we bring about color of skin. because I know goddamn well, looking at that Trump administration, that the color of those people's skin, the color of the broad's hair, and the color of some people's eyes does not qualify them for shit. But it's all right when Trump and them do it. Fuck out of here talking about color of skin. You sound retarded as hell. But the color of a darker skin shouldn't be one that marginalizes his opportunities. And therefore, this is why you bring in the government have to recognize shit and put in protections. I mean, shit, look to the NFL. You look in the sports world and see that shit. All them incompetent ass coaches they give these jobs to that look like a Lane Kiffin. And then Mark Summers says you didn't deal with anything, says but gangbangers. No, I got a pretty deep history of being in environments and dealing with different groups of people and being here and being there. So I don't know what you're talking about, Mark Summers. I got more experience than you because you a little cowarding little suburbanite stuck in your little suburbanite world, afraid to leave it because you're afraid of people who don't look like you, which is a common thing. When we go into another thing, and I'm glad you brought that up, we go into this thing talking about white flight. Black folks don't do that kind of shit. We don't run from people like y'all. So I don't know what you're talking about. And 87 says, here we go. It says he's calling the white, oh, sorry, they don't say white. He says, here we go, says here he go. Wait, what the fuck? Right, says here we go. Oh, that's because y'all don't be putting these punctuations. Says, here we go. Says he's calling me white, assuming it because I have common sense. Nah, I'm gonna assume that you're white if you don't speak on what you are. You assume to be white, so I'm gonna make the assumption that you are. You don't got a picture of who you are, so I'm gonna make the assumption. You got some weird poster on there and picture, but I'm pretty sure I'm right on what you are. Or you could be a Latino playing white, and that's a common thing. This is a plague amongst you guys in this new country, to where you deal with this duality of what it is that you are to be. Same thing faced with Asians. You come in here and you deal with duality of what to be besides your damn self. Because you got to fit in. That's what your parents have taught you. Trust me, I know it. I didn't see it all. I seen when y'all start arriving over, especially people from our Latin American countries. You start arriving over here. And mainly because you're raised by your mothers, because I see the way they push y'all in strollers and y'all can probably run and shit. But you get pushed to assimilating and shit, and then playing into being what you view as the people who run this damn country, who you think have the culture in this country, and then y'all been here for a while and you realize they don't. These people over here crying every time, and then you stupid ass black people call these sucker preem motherfuckers, whatever that other word they use and shit. People are retarded. There's a billionaire in the White House sitting there crying all day. And guess what he's crying about? Black folks. Because he can't outcompete them. Simple as that. Can't outcompete him. And then the thing is, because his incompetence and the fact that he's hired a bunch of DEIs in the White House who have blonde hair and blue eyes, and they can't figure shit out, that now they go into, it ain't been America first, let's go to other countries and rob them. Because when people can't find work, can't bring money in, you know what they resort to doing? Robberies. And that's what's happening in America. America has resorted to robberies. These fools are pulling strong on robberies, robbing liquor stores and shit is what America is doing under Trump. America is liquor store and gas station robbers. Because we got too much DEI shit going on in it. God damn. Go figure. DEI hide America is robbing stores and shit. And he says, and then 87 says, man, says you are the racist, says you are crying out about. Man, what I tell people all the time, it is amazing how whites can call me racist. But then they ignore all this racist shit. This is what I be talking about. You ain't heard me say a goddamn racist thing. You heard me say some shit that is shocking as fuck to you because you ain't never heard the truth in your life. But racist, absolutely not. But if I was on here being a representative of this t-shirt and spewing out all type of negative shit about black folks, all that racist shit to get overlooked, even by black folks. No, he just telling the truth, man. He ain't speaking that racist stuff, man. We gotta stop crying about everything. Facts, Patricia Shelton says I'm telling the truth. And then, but these fools, like I say, all throughout life, I used to always be called racist by people who hear me talk the truth, or not doing this old turn the other cheek shit, or being part of what is accepted. It's just the way it always been. We just gotta accept it, take it for what it is. But brother, we gotta be the better people. We gotta be the bigger man. Yeah. Turn to chapter 38, verse 32. For God said, "You shall obey and take a slapping and turn the other cheek." And then HVAC says 87 says, "We know you we know you are a white person," says, "or a Mexican person." That's a fact. He's one of those two things. And mommy has raised him to act like that. If he ain't white, fully white, he's definitely one of these Latinos that mark censusly on documents that he is white. And if he's a darker Latino, he's definitely bleaching his skin and sleeping on ice. Like, it just, man, that's why I be glad when y'all come over here with this shit. Because I say shit you're not accustomed to hearing. And then the first thing you'll run to is trying to call me a racist. But when you see actual racists, you shut your fucking mouth. That's crazy to me. And then Mark Summers says, always assuming, negatively, always right, homie. My assumptions are always right, even when you call him that. And this dude ain't never revealed what he is. And he ain't never say when I offered to drop this link that he'd jump on here. Because he know he jump on here, he gonna add to me always being right. I got you fools figured out. He laughed out loud about it. And then Picasso in the building, he saying, huh? And then they laughing out loud because I'm right, homie. Welcome to the show, homie. And then Mark Summers says now Reggie's a conservationist. Oh, absolutely. I'm definitely a conservationist. Absolutely. And then Mark Summers says this guy is comedy. That's why you're over here every week. I'm really a person that's educating you. And then 87 says, man, I wish you find Jesus. Says and find peace. Man, I wish you find Jesus. Shit. And then but no, not only that, I wish you find Jesus, I wish you believe in what you say that Jesus was about. Because I find that's the thing that bugs me. Why I don't buy into this religious shit is that it's people who teach people about Jesus and God and all this other stuff and Mary Magdalene and all these other stuff, and they talk about being this and that. I don't think y'all believe in Jesus or God. And then when they come down to history, y'all the motherfuckers that killed the dude. So what the fuck? I'm listening to you fools. You fools can't stop from fucking destroying shit. So I hope you believe in them. Because that's the story that you've been taught, and it comes from where you been taught. So I don't know what the hell you believe in. Don't push your religions and your Christ and your gods over here, because I don't think you believe in them. Because otherwise you wouldn't support the wicked shit. There's so many people that claim to be Christ, believers in Christ and all that other shit, but buying it to, and then when you cut off a conversation, when they want to be speaking on God, Christ, and all this God love shit, you allow that fucking conversation to kind of die down. Give it some moments. Let it just fill the space for like 30 minutes or some shit. And you'll watch these same people that speak this shit because it's trend and it's a way to fit in. And then they will open up quickly into some demonic ass conversation on killing and we should invade this country and these people don't belong, don't deserve to live and we should destroy them and go in their bomb and this and that. And then if the motherfuckers strike them back in the mouth, they talk this, oh Lord, oh Jesus and God, and come together, everybody. And this, don't you believe in Jesus? Don't push that shit over here on me. And then Mark Summers says blacks took us as blacks took up. He says, bro, says, bro, it's missed, says, bro, it missed the letter, you goofy. That's for you to write it, not me. May laughing out loud. CJ in the building, salute to nephew. CJ in the building, salute. And then Picasso says, Reg, are you saying black people left their planet because someone had an albino baby? Says, ruin that world. Says, now the same is happening here. Says, we better find another planet before they blow this one up. I'm lost on that one, Picasso. I know it's supposed to be a joke. And they talk about that dude, Jesse Lee Peterson video I played. Patricia Shelton says, black men are awesome. Absolutely. Even the girls who fuck with Mark Summer and them know that shit. Even though girls who fuck with 87 who's in the chat, they know that shit. They all want to fuck with us. It says, how do we know black people are real? And this is somebody named School Account. Man, how you know black people are real? Watch when we stick our dicks in y'all girls, and you see what the babies come out like. The babies dominate y'all families. That's the real shit. If I was to go into people who have a clan, no, matter of fact, if I went into the Trump family, so imagine, what's Trump's daughter's name? Ivanka. So here is Ivanka having these babies by the little chump motherfucker. Peep this is the awesomeness of black folk. Let me put that shit up. So, and that was somebody's comment at the bottom. That was Mark Summers says, or the other dude, no, this new dude came in there, asked, how do we know black people are real? So let me go down that one. I'll come back up here. Let me mark this one, highlight Patricia Shelton, so I know my mark. And this dude put, how do we know black people are real? I'm gonna use this because y'all love Trump. So Trump's daughter, I can't even use Trump's wife, but I'm gonna go with Trump's daughter. So Trump daughter been having these fucking degenerate kid by that Stephen Miller dude, right? And they will come out with certain, we'll go from physical attributes and shit, and even from the aesthetics, that they'll grow in their teen years, adulthood, and all this other shit. Those kids will be limited in their abilities with the genetics of Stephen Miller and the fact that Ivanka got Trump genetics in her. Now, if I was to come along and Ivanka wanted to just have an affair because I wouldn't want to be with her, and I fucked her, I would fuck her so good. She would scream like she's never screamed before, and then she'll squirt. She'll believe she's pissing on herself. And then 9 months later, she delivers a little Reggie the Third and shit. That baby, or even she dropped a female baby, that baby will be, if it's a boy, the most handsome motherfucker in that Trump family. If it's a girl, she would shit on her other female blonde-haired little relative cousins. She'll probably definitely be taller than all of them. They will be more gifted. They will have better coordination and rhythm and other abilities and skill sets that go along with them. And the Trumps will be so jealous of this child, they would do just like you watched the Queen of England do. Because the child that Prince Harry had, look, now he says, I'm just a race. I love when y'all write this shit. And I love that I impact y'all like that. I am a destructor of racism, homie. I'm a killer of racism. And that shit makes you motherfuckers feel so bad because you used to black folks writing statements in black people's comments and they cry about it, not me. And he said that baby will be retarded, says like it's Diddy, so he wrote. And then, but that's a falsehood. The babies will be the most dominant motherfuckers in that family. And for them not to, because it will debunk the beliefs that they have always pushed out about this superiority complex they have over there. And to have a baby with African DNA in it and shit, it will debunk all that shit because the baby that so the older brother, even we go into that situation, and that's the DNA from a mixed race black female they have. She ain't even got full black DNA in her, but that baby is prettier than all the other kids that is in Queen Elizabeth. I'm talking about the royal family. That Prince Harry's baby is probably prettier than every single female relative of hers. And she's going to be more coordinated than them. If they were to play sports, which a lot of youth do, she's going to be the most physically gifted of her relatives. And Mark Summers, this is why this shit hit y'all. Because I'm pretty sure, because more and more y'all female relatives are, bringing us into the household. And so when you have these mixed race relatives, don't you go harming these mixed race relatives because you're going to be hurt by what I say. I guarantee you, they're the most gifted in your family. I guarantee that shit. God damn it. And then Donald Boxer, the bill says, was having a good brother. Like I say, man, I love when y'all write this. Just say, one of y'all just write, drop the link. Stop writing comments for a while, folks. Let me get through all the comments. I got to respond to this shit and debunk all this shit. This all I'm doing is debunking the ignorance that comes from other people who come from these areas that, just wish that, the world is handed to them on silver platters, which for the most part in America it is. And the Mark Summers says, indentured servants, no, this is not it. And he said that you're still basically free. They like talking about they were slaves. And then Mark Summers says, no, the Irish were slaves here, Goofy. The Irish are slaves here where? Yeah, right. Talking about they were slaves. They were slaves probably in Britain. And then Picasso says, he says, I think the North is protecting the South because when they fight, the blacks gain momentum. Says every time the blacks fight, says the whites gain momentum on says our ground. Says whatever they fighting for. And then Mark Summers says, did you serve? No, the way for whites to win wars with blacks in here is through an intellectual thing. Just be covert, stay under the radar, don't show your hand, which is what Trump is doing. And then you know, it is what it is. They stay covert, go over the heads of these motherfuckers. Mark Summers says Irish were also slaves to England. No, only to England. Not here. And they weren't slaves like that. And then they were just poor. They're poor, working for a king and shit, and whatever little high-ranking people over in there. And then Otto Boxer says whites were never slaves in this country. Says they were indentured servants. Says and got paid for their work. That's what I'm saying. These fools. That's why it's important to really teach people facts. Why it's always important to have your knowledge on shit to where you teach people, because they gonna always spew out shit. Because so many people have been miseducated. So many people are like Sonny Carson and this motherfucker, Lauryn Hill ass people, miseducated ass fools. And then Mark Summers says, yes, his Irish potato famine says set off by England, says trying to wipe out their people, says you don't know anything about world history. No, you just presented me with a fact that I proved that it's y'all fucking up shit, starving out your people, and you send a bunch of them over here. I'm pretty sure America then was also ran by England when whites were ever these so-called slaves you're talking about, dummy. So you're trying to mix timelines and shit, but you got to run that on another channel for people who don't know shit. People that y'all think are no jumper type dudes and cats that sit in front of liquor stores or hang in the hood all day and don't educate themselves on shit. I'm from that environment, but I ain't like that. And then Mark Summers continues, says, but they never went through anything. Says you don't even know American history. They didn't, bro. You need to learn your American history. Get it up, get it taught right to you, and then come back and present that in the chat because you'll never speak it. Arnold Boxer says, tell us about the whites. Says that were forced to do manual labor. Says for free. Says how about the whites that were lynched because of their color? Right. You know the only whites who are being lynched like that were whites who aligned themselves with black folks. Whites who spoke out about how wrong that shit was were the ones who were lynched. And whites went through some shit. Get the fuck out of here. I don't think blacks have ever threatened white folks for going to vote in the history of America. I don't think blacks have ever threatened white folks for sending their kids to our schools in America. What else can I go with? I don't think blacks have ever threatened white folks for moving into our neighborhoods. Don't think so. I don't think blacks have ever questioned, what are you doing over here? Nah, don't think so. What else? What else disgusting shit history we can go through and make? I don't think black folks have ever asked presidential white motherfuckers to show their birth certificate and where they come from while having an immigrant bitch in their motherfucking White House. The fuck out of here. Says, and Mark Summers says they all do that. No, they don't. If we had to whoop your motherfucking ass, we just gonna whoop your ass. That's why your parents left the fucking communities that used to be yours. And then mysteriously, all these homes pop up in the goddamn suburbs. Mark Summers says started in the late 1800s, says during the Industrial Revolution. What did? Mark Summers, you don't know history. Now this fool talking about something started in the late 1800 Industrial Revolution. Are you retarded? Are you stupid? And then you about to look, this is how dumb he is. I'm glad this dummy writes this shit. So now I go into another moment of educating and ignorant. This is the issue in America. And this is why I tell so many lazy ass black people who refuse to be intelligent on shit. And this is a white dude, Mark Summers, who don't know shit. And these are constant things they speak. And even some whites who think they want to be intellectual can spew this shit out the blacks, and then blacks will believe this shit. Talking about some late 1800s in the Industrial Revolution. No, this is all about the replacement of blacks who are no longer free labor moving into this industrial revolution, which starts to create the corporate side of shit, but where you start to deal with extreme capitalistic wealth in this fucking country. The fact of not wanting to pay blacks, they start bringing immigrants over here. And this leads to all that Gilded Age, the Rockefellers, the fucking the Rembrandt and all these other fools who just have this extreme wealth. Some whites who just arriving over here, getting opportunities, bypassing blacks who have been here and been working this motherfucker for centuries for nothing, being set behind for generations upon generation as far as wealth pertains and ownership, that newly arrived immigrants come over here who were not slaves, but starting off poor, but still given opportunities to come over here and work, to hit the ground running in this industrial revolution that they didn't have nothing to do with building. Keep writing your retarded comments in here with your guesswork. It won't work. And then Picasso says I heard of black Russians, black Americans, black Asians, says, but not black Spaniards, says black Latinos, black Ukrainians, says I probably need to travel more. Now there probably wasn't blacks. Ain't that where Moors come from? So I don't know about that Picasso. I think Moors are from fucking out of Spain and shit. And then Auto Boxing says, so you better read on your history. And then Auto there in Italy, Spain, Portugal, all of that shit. And then Auto Boxing says, the Mark Summers says you come to this channel, says with your racist views and constantly get foot kicked in your ass, right? And then when I disprove these fools who be want to spew out racist shit, and then I speak shit that is actual factual and it may be offensive to motherfuckers, they be want to say it's being racist. And he said a goddamn racist thing not once on here. But the fact that I'm saying some shit to you as a white person, which you in your mindset believe people aren't supposed to speak to you or tell you anything. I'll tell Trump this shit to his face if he was in this motherfucker. Because he ain't nothing but a peon who ain't done nothing but win the votes. He a regular ass human being who done got votes in a democracy. So in this democratic system, that means he wins the White House. He ain't no ruler or God or none of that shit. And in y'all Bible, that's really all y'all painting. Who y'all depictions of God is probably some presidential motherfucker. Don't rock with y'all books. There's something I question about them. Because I don't believe y'all believe in them. It's just some shit y'all done forced on motherfuckers. And psychologically, that shit has penetrated the beliefs of motherfuckers. It's hard to break them from that shit. That shit has been an extreme penetrator into the ignorance of people and the controls of them. Because y'all don't buy into this God shit. Because if you did, you wouldn't be over here killing and slaughtering and bombing motherfuckers. You wouldn't. And now we dealing with kidnapping motherfuckers. Seems like slave shit, except that fool going to court trial and shit. So Maduro getting a little dose of what slavery was like, except he goes into a prison, they feed him, he get calls, he get to go to court, all that other shit. He ain't been brought to a field to work it and shit. And then Arno Boxy says, the Mark Summers says, you come to this show. Oh yeah, I read that one. Mark Summers says black Latinos is a thing, says they're called Moreno. And then HVAC it, they're rolling. And then Auto Boxing says facts, Slim. He says because of the upward mobility, says of our black community, says the whites came up with Jim Crow laws. What the Jim Crow laws is something that came out of what do they call that shit? The what do they call that shit after slavery? They was calling that shit the Reconstruction shit. Jim Crow comes right after that shit. At the Reconstruction is broken down, so it ain't just through our upward mobility. We're up having finding upward mobility even during the Jim Crow shit. The upward mobility comes. Jim Crow was in the South. Our upward mobility comes from leaving out of that Southern shit, going in here and just finding jobs. The South ain't got jobs for motherfuckers. It's only field work, and you ain't getting paid shit. You go up where the factories are. And then Asian Math says salute Asian Math. Patricia Shelton saying pimp, talking about Trump pimping these dumb, retarded motherfuckers. And Asian Math says salute to myself. Patricia Shelton saying salute to you, Asian Math. And then Mark Summers says white Europeans founded this country. Says you sound slow. Well, actually, they came over and stole this country. And that was just all through the wealthy whites and the use of military. It's just military might. So they didn't discover this shit. They stole this country through the force, a military might, which is the technology at that time, through the weapon. Simple as that. Same weapon that has destroyed, which has been the first thing to destroy this planet before they start using chemicals and destroying shit. And now we cry to save the fucking planet. That nobody else has anything to do with damaging the planet outside of the buffoons that continue to do this dumb shit. And then Mark Summers says Constitution was written by white Europeans. But guess what? Guess who cried about the Constitution? Whites. White people cry about the Constitution all fucking day because y'all violate the shit. You violate the shit, break it all the time, and then you want to talk about the violation. Then you want to talk about the Constitution when your ass about to go to jail. You violated my constitutional rights. The fuck out of here. Fools is constitutional law breaking motherfuckers. Picasso inability in their rolling, and then Patricia Shelton says they stole this country. Facts. And then the Asian man saying facts. And then Arnold Box says Mark Summers says white Europeans says built this country's wealth, says on the back of us blacks. Absolutely. That's why I'm saying these fools don't be knowing nothing, because the other side of this shit is a lot of these people are newly arrived. And they just go off of what they may have been told in maybe school or something. I don't know where they learned this bozo shit side of made up history. Just like Mark Summers, who can just arrive here, family could arrive here in the 1960s, will fake like he been here since the 1800s, and then don't be knowing shit, just spewing out shit. And like I said, a lot of Europeans who came here even in the 1800s were immigrants, were allowed to just homestead. This new law that they stealing land from natives, killing off the natives, and giving up all this open land so in hopes they can just continue this expansion of Europeans. We need more Europeans. There's so much land over here. Keep bringing them. The hell with them black folks, 40 acre and mules. We still mad they was shooting our ass. Give it to Europeans. Europeans come over, and the Europeans can get guns. We're going to take them guns from the soldiers who fought for us. And then Mark Summers says it's needed for you to get hired maybe. And then he says, I got to go to sleep. Says soon I have a job. Man, this fool be in here. We do shows in the 5 in the morning. Now you got to go to sleep because I'm cooking his stupid ass. And the fact that I said, if you want to jump on the panel, you can jump on the panel and spew out whatever this dumb teaching. But the fact that he know that it'll be a back and forth conversation and he'll spew out such ignorance, it'll make him look stupid. And the fact that it will be up. And then Mark Summers says, I changed my voice, says when I got on the panel, Goofy says, I don't want some weirdos on here recognizing my voice. Mark Summers, that just shows how you lack faith in yourself. You didn't change your voice when you got on here. That's how you talk. And that's how you lack pride in who you are. And the fact of why you're so jealous and maybe envious of black folks. I wouldn't give even if I had a voice like yours, which is weird, I'll still be confident in who the hell I am. That'll just be my voice. And that shows how much you don't believe in yourself. Do you use drugs? Do you battle with addiction because you deal with isolation and being picked on and shit like that? That leads to a lot of y'all in your community where y'all be strung out on shit. And then you done been to rehab and got off of it, and then you may hear some shit that I say triggering you relapse back on that shit. And then Picasso says I'll be right too sometimes, Reg. And then Picasso says I've been cussing people out all day. Absolutely, some people need it. And then Mark Summers gonna write not at all. Yeah, right. You know you lack confidence in yourself. Talking about he made his voice up. And then he says you reading like you slow, cuz. And he says take your time reading, Reg. No, you don't see how low my eyes is. I don't get high. I don't drink. So that tells you I'm a little sleepy. And then Sebastian says, what up, bro? Richard Shelton says he's telling the truth. And then Picasso in the rolling. And then Mark Summers says, Patricia says typed in the wrong chat. And then she says the right chat. And then Lee Wine says, you're right. Says the civil rights was racist against whites. No, I didn't say it was. Then you talking about Donald Trump hoe ass who don't know a goddamn thing. And then what's that? School account says, how do we know black people are real? And that's where I came up with the comment about how real black people are. Because if I did a little poking in Donald Trump's daughter, Donald Trump's wife, he wouldn't have that little degenerate son he has. All his boys look weird. Donald Trump knew. I know Donald Trump probably went, and that's why you never see no footage of them motherfuckers when they were coming up. Trump at any of their little events and none of that shit, because all of his kids are degenerate and fucking dumb as fuck. And then Patricia and they're rolling. And then Rod G says Ivanka says always right. Says Ivanka will get right. And then school account says, bro, you racist. He in there laughing, talking about racist. Nah, I'm far from it. You be wishing. And then Mark Summers says the baby will be retarded. Nah, that baby would be better than everybody in that little Trump family and shit. Trump family. Have y'all ever seen Trump family? Treat them motherfuckers as raggedy. So I haven't seen any of the new ones and shit. But if they had a mix, they may need to do what the dude from the royal family did and mix that shit up. And then Patricia Shelton says Queen Elizabeth couldn't take that shit. They used to fucking their cousins and shit. It's probably what the Trump's doing. They're probably a bunch of cousin fuckers in the Trump family. That's why they look that way. A bunch of cousins and shit hopping on each other. Patricia Shelton says wouldn't have to be in the sun. And then Mark Summers says like his daddy. And then he talking about retarded like the dad like me. And the school account says the only difference between white people and black people is melanin, man. Nah, don't start that. The only difference is melanin and all that shit. Don't come telling. I love when y'all come over here to some black channel and talk about the only differences are melanin. Go tell that shit to racist ass people. Talking about the only difference. Of course, that's the only fucking difference. But how about you go tell racist people? Because it ain't black people who spew that shit, who start that shit, or have even engaged in any of that shit. You go tell bigots that shit, not Reg, not other people who are black, about the only thing. You don't preach that shit. Y'all do all this preaching and Bible making and believing in shit. You go tell that shit to your racist relatives, your racist friends, and other people who share racial views and hatred towards blacks that they don't even live around. They have so many negative things to say about black folks and never lived around them, never experienced them. The only time they experience them is when their daughters come in there with a belly pushing a baby out of it that is mixed. That's just like I see this shit when I used to drive from work over there by the airport. This is one dude I see he looked like old racist ass dude. Looked like an extreme racist. Like he used to sit there and Budweiser drinking and get the spewing out the N-word and all this other shit. And I always see this dude just in my drive and I guess his routine and walking and shit. Then when I should start seeing this dude, I guess his daughter had one of these mixed babies. And guess what? That old racist ass white dude loved his grandchild. I always see this white dude with that old backwood, deep southern ass bullshit beliefs in him and hatred, walking with his black grandchild on a daily. You got to tell motherfuckers that before they learn to they didn't have so much hatred in them and realize how much they've been lied to in these beliefs that they accept of hatred of people based on their skin. Black people don't hate on white folks over skin. They don't. Black people will respond to your motherfucking ass. And when black people respond to y'all start coming out acting like victims. You want to hide your hand and shit once you get struck and then play victim. This is a common, you see this shit all day with the mentality of people like y'all. Until you get smack dabbed in your motherfucking face and then you play the victim about shit. There's a video I was watching earlier today, man. A little snob looking dude dressed in a suit. They all blocking near the stairs or escalator where people walking up and they just congregated at the top of the stairs where people can barely walk by. The black dude was polite. He tapped the guy, was like, oh, excuse me, I'm passing through. The dude in the little suit and tie gonna walk up behind him and kick the black dude. The black dude did something I would do, and I advise everybody to respond this way. He turned around and this dude kicked him. And when the dude got a reaction, he expected the black dude to act in fear of him and to continue on and stay in this place. This ain't no Bible Belt ass black dude. That black dude turned around immediately and gave him a Spartan, one of them 300 kicks in his goddamn chest and put him on his ass. And then the group of them other dudes, they did nothing. Y'all gotta check me out on Instagram because I'll be posting that shit. And then there's another video I post with this young black dude being surrounded by 3 whites. He's like a black dude, probably going to predominantly white school. He in the gym. And the dude said something to him or something. And they think they're going to intimidate him and shit. And he telling the dude, like, what's up? Like, what's up? Like, he don't give a fuck. It is 3 of them, but it's really 2 of them because one dude on the crutch. And he talking to the dude, whoever says something to him. And the dude, all that little tough shit he was talking, seeing this dude ain't backing down, he started wanting to cop a plea. Black dude hit him with a straight right. Bow! Boom! Parked his little glass-chinned ass. Sat him on his pockets. His other homeboy don't do shit. The black dude didn't even jump on top of him and start beating him. Hit him with the punch. He was out. He's drunk. Other dude like, what's up? Like, you want something? His homeboy's scared. The dude on the crutch he was doing a lot of talking to, he up there trying to get out of it. You see the fear in him. And that's a common thing with pussy-ass people. So ain't no thing about what separates us. Everybody know we human, but we can start. Like I said, I'm big on getting your disrespect up. I'm big and I push that get your disrespect shit up. You have knowledge on motherfuckers and you learn how to offend these motherfuckers. That's why they can run in here and spew out some shit about me being racist. And they ain't heard me spew out one racist thing. They just heard me spew out facts, which offend these motherfuckers. I love it. I'll do the title and get a bit here. Mark Summers says, yeah, this guy's a racist. Look at Mark Summers. You call me a racist. I love that shit. Cha-ching. And he said to school account. And then Agent Matt says, facts, says don't leave out the Hugh benefits and DNA. Absolutely. And that's what I'm saying. These fools want to talk this and that, and then I smoked them on this shit. You throw a little bit of our DNA into them families over there, the new offsprings become the dominant ones in that family. Salute to my cousin. Hey, Dose, I know you ain't catching from the beginning, but I was talking about your boy Donald and that $2,000 shit. Your boy Donald talking about, did I say that? When did I say that? And then Donald goes into, remember last year he was talking when he first talked about this damn $2,000 shit. And it's all little shit to throw people off. He says Trump was joking. So I knew you would throw that shit out that Trump was joking. But wasn't Trump saying that you'll get them checks in the middle of the year? I mean, what's taking so fucking long? They got all this money. So now the money's supposed to come in the middle of the year. Like May, June, and all that shit. Trump in that same video you talking about he's joking, said that shit coming at the end of the year. You know how you play the violin? Play that shit across the neck. It ain't fucking happening. That shit is dead, fool. Stop believing in this dummy. And then this racist shit he said with the civil rights shit. I hope you don't believe what he said, that the civil rights movement hurt white folks. I hope you don't believe that shit, cuzzo. I hope you don't. And then school account says, why do we have to divide ourselves? Says by made of things like race. He's talking about we'll see. Dude, she not touching a penny from that motherfucker. Trust me. Always right, cuzzo. And so back to you, school account. Where he talking about why do we divide it? No. Whites create this division. Blacks ain't the ones doing that shit. You need to go tell that shit in white settings. And he says, don't hear him say that. Didn't hear him say that. This nigga Deuce a lost cause, homie. What you mean, why do we divide ourselves? Blacks ain't been part of this division. Blacks don't have the historics of doing that shit. Now, blacks have been conditioned to have to be that way based on experiences, homie. You ask whites, why do they flee communities? Only to later gentrify the motherfuckers to come back. Why have whites created systematic racism through every fucking inch of every part of the fabric of a society and all the institutions, the military, that racist shit, Blacks ain't create that shit in there. And our school systems, blacks ain't create that shit there. In our banks, blacks ain't create that shit. In our communities, blacks ain't create that shit. Don't talk about dividing us. Whites have divided us, and that punk in the White House continues to divide us shit. You know why Trump divides us and continue that shit? Because Trump was raised under that shit. He's an old motherfucker. Raised when that shit was running hot, heavy, and open. Like his wife. So shit, all he doing is going off what he want. And he said, Deuce says, I gotta check it out. Says you got the video. Deuce, you a lost cause, homie. Trump must be God or some shit. No, how much you need to hear from that motherfucker and him not deny it. And they talking about you got a video of it. This nigga crazy. And then school account says, yeah, it says Mark Summers says, who said that dumb shit? Says they got paid nothing. And then in the Asian Mass says they were considered peasants, says not slaves. Yeah, Mark Summers don't know history. He's just a white dude. He's a young white dude. So he can already go off of the miseducation that was given to him. And then Mark Summers says they do all of that. And I'm lost on what he's talking about. He might be talking out in the chat. And then Tim Hudson says affirmative action DI says its successors were definitely racist against whites and Asians. Sure. They were definitely against whites and Asians. Whites fucking benefited off of this shit, bozo. Whites like your mama and your granny and your daddy benefited off of that shit. I don't know what you talking about, DI. What are you talking about, Asians? Asians are brand new to this country. How are Asians looking to benefit off of something that weren't intended for them? Like, what are you talking about? And then now you got whites that cry about Asians who don't have, who claim to not benefit from affirmative action. That whites are complaining about Asians accessing to the university system. But then you have some retarded Asians who want to assimilate, and then they have this belief of them being white. So we don't listen to them. You don't listen to dummies who spew out dumb shit. And then Picasso says, yes, 7-Eleven was the time, he says 7-Eleven was the time Moors saved white people, says when they told them to stop kissing and fucking the animals, says, and take a bath. I think it's more deeper than that shit with the Moors and shit. And then Mark Summers says because of white Europeans' innovation, says they didn't need blacks anymore. No, whites ain't had no innovations. Whites be stealing shit. Mark Summers says the Cotton Gym says by Eli Whitney. And he says finally Unboxing shows up so Reggie can teach someone. Says nah. And then so Mark Summers, I'm glad you know that I do be teaching you motherfuckers. And then Mark Summers says the wealth came from the Industrial Revolution, says in those innovations, says not from slavery. Yeah, right. Says everything from slavery was going to the British kings. Damn, you don't know history, bro. Mark Summers is really fucking stupid, bro. But then again, Mark Summers is new here. And he says, Hamlaw says, did hear the civil rights shit. Says that's why I asked for the video. Says no it none looking ass. Deuce, no. The dummy said that shit. And then Mark Summers says not at all. And then Lyson Clear says Mark Summers is the typical incel. Absolutely is. And then he says, nah, so that's you. Says, and a lot of blacks on here laugh my ass off at light skin Cletus. Yeah, right. And then light skin back to Mark Summers says, yet and still says a lot of the serial killers are incels like yourself. Says with deep seated hatred for yourself. Yeah, that's why he hate his voice. He do hate himself. He probably gonna be a cold case ass motherfucker. He probably looking for Mark Summers now. He did some old foul shit. If he got a missing relative and shit, he probably definitely done something to it. Mark Summers says, so you judge him by how he looks, says, and decided he was a racist, says, but never spoke to him. Mark Summers, I can identify racist. Now, I mean, you have a right in what you're saying and shit, but I know racist when I see it. Motherfucking hide that shit. I'm an expert in identifying racist ass whites who gonna sit there and deny it. Like I say, I went to a camp with a motherfucking Aryan Brotherhood motherfucker. Like I say, I got experiences in life. Like a lot of people can't fathom this shit of being at an all black camp with a white dude who was an Aryan Brotherhood prison gang leader, covered in nothing but deep ass Nazi-esque tattoos. I wish somebody would find this dude if he's not dead now. As a camp counselor, covered in big Nazi swastika in the middle of his head. This back in the 90s before motherfuckers, rappers make tattooing all cool and shit. This only when prisoner motherfuckers tat themselves. Teardrops, white power blasted across chest, nooses, the N-word. Oh man, I'm trying to do covered in this shit. Swastikas, boats, SS tattoos, teardrops from killing white people. Was my counselor. I've been seeing white folks and dealing with that shit all throughout life and having an understanding on identifying motherfuckers who are my enemy. Never view black people. I'm a South Central cat who never played in blood and Crip shit. Never view people who look like me as an enemy unless you meant harm to me. But as far as watching out for racist ass pieces of shit all day, every day, green light. So of course I can identify it. And the dude I'm talking about in his past probably used to be a deep-seated bigot. And then his daughter comes with this black child and every day spent with him. And that's the other thing. When we talk about the other races, I'm glad I brought up that situation with them. Because also a lot of white people get disowned by their white families, Latino families, Asian families, Indian families for bringing in black offsprings. And their daughters who recognize the ills of their parents' beliefs, cultures, will say, fuck them. There's a popular ass chick on here now. Hold on, let me find this chick. Because I like their content too. It's an Indian chick. She's a pretty Indian chick. I think they live out here. Let me see. Indian woman with 8 kids. Hold on, let me show this. So I want people to check their content. Here she is. Her name Miss Cora. She got a family channel too. I think that's her. Let me see. Let me see if there's another channel. Yeah, that's her name, Miss Coral. Let me see. Miss Coral. Yeah, I think that's her. Oh, I'm gonna put this on the screen. Yeah, because they're very popular. So they're very popular, well known. So let me go to this one real quick. So I'm gonna go in because it's a common thing for other races of people. Black people don't exhibit that shit. We have our relatives who can go out and fuck, because every woman want to fuck us. So we come in with people. So this is her channel, Miss Cora and the Family. So a very popular channel, almost 1 million subscribers. So parenting, cooking, fitness, gaming is what the content of the channel is. Very good content, very, very good channel. And she going her life. But here she is. So this is her husband. You see the black dude here. So they give that story. This woman, this motherfucker, she must got the bond. That fool done knocked her up 8 times. Knocked her up 8 times. And black. Oh, shit. Yeah, drop that one. Let me get some more of that good shit. So they got 8 kids. This woman is of Indian descent. Her parents disowned her. And plus, she cut off her parents because she did not trust her parents with that wicked-ass belief that they have. And they religion, these religions are weird as fuck. That they will harm and sacrifice and kill their own children over shit. But they kids can go and have a white child because it's how fucked up they are, especially Indians, do how the number that the British put on them. That woman said, fuck that. I'm going to choose love over what the fuck you ignorant motherfuckers are spewing. That she don't even let her kids see her parents because she don't trust her kids around. And as they get older, maybe. And that's a common thing for you other races of people. To where, and there's a lot of women who have said, fuck my parents. That family ain't shit anyway. And then they cross over to the other side where they getting treated better, loved and protected better. And then their kids gonna look better. And so that's what they choose. Black people don't do that shit. We don't and he says Pat was smacking shit though. Says I can't front. Oh, they must be talking football. Black people don't do that shit. We don't give a fuck if our sons or daughters come with anybody from out of different race. As long as you treat them right, they love that motherfucker. That grandkid is ours. We don't spew out that shit. People can't paint that shit on black people. We don't exhibit that kind of dumbass shit. That's you other wicked motherfuckers. So he says, so judge him by how he looked, says, and decided he was a racist. No, because I knew what I was looking at. Black people don't do this judgmental shit. We don't worry about people. We don't spend, black people definitely don't spend their days worried about what white people are doing, white people this, white people that in their community. We don't do that shit. And then and Patricia Shelton says we don't. And then exactly, Patricia Shelton even speaking the same thing I just responded to this dummy on. Because he be wanting us to pay attention to him when we don't. Is that y'all be always in business that we got to speak truth and the debunking this shit with y'all. Mark Summers says I'm around black people, says all the time, says we have no problem on this side. You don't live around black people. You probably got a fucking 2% population of blacks around this little area you live in. Because why? You live around a culture of scary ass people. It's what we have this history in this country that gets ignored, but I always highlight, called white flight. It's a time period in this country. And it has further segregated this country. It didn't go in with this Jim Crow type segregation. It went off to the voluntary moving and movement, and then adding to separation of whites being afforded up more of the resources to up and vacate where they had lived and to move to newer places further out. And then cutting off the access to people or making it less favorable for blacks even want to go there. And then therefore, when you leave out of there, you start presenting these old neighborhoods that were white neighborhoods with the liquor store. You start presenting them with the drugs brought in here by government administrations such as the Reagans and shit. And then you poison them. And then you lower the value in these communities. You start taking away fucking funding for the schools. So now you destroy the schools. You destroy the value in the community. So now schools, remember how schools used to be funded through property taxes. So the value dead there. Now the schools get left, and then that justifies them making huge cuts into programming in schools in black communities. So that's everything that go into all this shit we saying. But blacks, you can't always do that, because blacks will start using that shit as to why they continue to be fuck ups. Can't do that shit. And then in the Deuce Time says, Relly saying Trump was joking. Look, he defended Trump. This nigga lost cause, homie. I ain't hearing that shit. And then Mark Summers says he's using everyone's check, says, to pay for the ballroom. Even Mark Summers, who a Trump lover, a damn idiot, he even recognizes the shit with Trump. There ain't no money there. The fool Trump want to go in there and build a ballroom. They can't even dance. He can't even dance. It ain't even no bitches worth freaking. All them bitches' asses is flat. What you building a ballroom for? You building a ballroom for no bitches to do the Tootsie Roll. They ain't a bitch you can twerk. Ain't no ass shaking in that shit. What the fuck you building a ballroom in? For y'all to be tripping? Be tripping over each other, glass slippers and shit, that motherfucking uncoordinated ass fucking ballroom. What y'all passing around casseroles and that shit? What the fuck Trump need a damn ballroom for? There ain't no ballroom dancing in that shit. The bitches ain't got no ass in his administration. They ain't even a B-cup titty in the motherfucking Trump family or in that administration. Bondi chest flat, gnome chest flat. Both of their asses is flat. All they got to present to them weird ass old dudes is some blonde hair. Get the fuck out of here. These old raggedy ass whores. And they building a ballroom with people money. Get the fuck out of here. Them bitches ain't got. They need to go, before they build that shit, Trump need to go get them bitches some BBLs and shit. Get the fuck out of here. Go, especially his bitch. Go buy that bitch a BBL. That nigga wife ass so goddamn flat. That bitch look like a boy and shit. That's why I think Trump fucking love boys and shit. Motherfucker, Trump is really a homo, homie. He LGBTQ all the way. And then Patricia saying, yep, Deuce Time says, we'll see, pal. You ain't getting that money. You sound dumb as fuck believing that shit. And then Arnold Boxer says I saw that video, says the mother of the young brother said he was constantly harassed by those dudes. Says they were Arabs. Says the brother caught him with a mean right. Says I'm proud of the brother. Yeah, I'm proud of him too. I'm proud when I see that shit. And then Deuce Time says didn't hear that. And then he says lost cause, laugh out loud. Look, Marsari, look, that other dude, 87, them stop writing. I be killing these fools, man. That's why I know how to deal with racist people, bro. I know how to deal with racist people, or even if it's whites not who just won't spew out the racist shit, but they support that shit. And I know how to just kill these fools off with. And then they'll be, and when they can't respond to that shit or debunk none of the shit I'm saying, they be like, you're a racist. That ain't good enough, homie. Debunk what the fuck I said. And then Deuce Time says I gotta check it out, says you got the video. And then Mark Summers says, play the video, Goofy. And then Deuce Time says Clippers climbing off the mat, says we gotta get to that sixth spot. And he says Hamlaw says did hear civil rights shit. Says that's why I asked. The video says no it none looking ass. Man, bro. If there's putting out quotes from this motherfucker, some things may not be off the record, such as one of them questions and shit. Lights and Clear says Deuce Time says you have the worst case of Stockholm syndrome. And that's a fact, man. Deuce has that shit bad. And he's an educated dude who doesn't express that he's educated. He may use big words, but he doesn't express that shit when it comes to Donald Trump. And then Asian Mass says my poll Steelers says maybe next season says with way better quarterback. Yeah, y'all got that old timer, old fossil out there on the field. And then Deuce Time says 9 wins out of the last 11, says we coming up, homeboy. And then what you talking about the Clippers? Who the Clippers? I see the sorry ass Lakers lost tonight. They lost to the weak ass Kings. I was happy to see DeRozan and Westbrook get off. That's because that old Luka motherfucker probably done shot 30 damn shots. Let me see. I was guessing that shit. That fool down there shot 30 shots. He was 16 to 25. I mean, he wasn't missing too much. He was missing a lot of them threes he loved to shoot. They put him on the line. Look, once again, if Luka ain't shooting these 20 and 30 free throws, the Lakers ain't going to win shit. And he doubt spreading the ball around to nobody. Always right with Reggie Owens' predictions on the weak-ass Lakers. Not guaranteed he didn't play no fucking defense, but he just get the ball, hawked it up. He got 42 points, hawking the ball up. But only 8 free throws. I don't see how he got, only 8 free throws. But how the fuck he got 42 off of, he made 16 out of 25. But 42 points, 8 free throws, hawking the ball up. The fact that he didn't get 20 free throws like they love to give this fool, they lose to a team that was 9-30 going into this game. Salute to Sacramento. God damn it. And then in the starting lineup, it was only 2 people in double figures. That being LeBron, Luka, and then that Aton, how you say his name, with 13 points. Can't do it with Luka. It's only the Lakers team was only 4 people in double figures. The Kings had how many people in double figures? 2. Somebody was 1 point off from 10, but they had 2. They had 5 people in double figures, spreading the ball around. This motherfucking clown ass Luka just weak, full weak. Let me see. Bronny got on the court. Bronny had 2 3-pointers. Salute to little LeBron getting on the court. Salute. He was 2 for 2 from that 3-point line. Good job, Bronny. And then Arnold Boxer says white women were the biggest benefactors of affirmative action and DEI. It says Google it. It says black men were the least hired under affirmative action and DEI. Yeah, but these fools don't like to hear that shit. They'll say, when you come up with that shit, be trying to call you racist, and you gotta embrace being called racist by these kind of clowns. You gotta embrace that shit. I've always embraced it. Like I said, since I've been a young kid, I've always been told, even black people used to talk about I was racist because I had pride in being black. Like, I ain't racist. Or maybe I was saying shit that because I was also being around people who were part of that Black Panther shit. So I probably was saying certain shit in kind of a Black Pantherish tone as a kid. But I always took pride in being black, and I'm glad I was around that time period to where I'm not just a ignorant ass person who is black. Because a lot of black ignorance, man, that is clear as this day. You see it clear as day how much black ignorance around. So that's why I'd be like, I'm so fucking blessed, homie. I'm so blessed to being around the people I was raised around. And to being raised on that street that I was fucking raised on. Blessed. And not talking about no gangbanging ass shit. It's being around the people I was raised around, blessed. Raised in the city, and that section of that city, in that time period it was raised in, to being so blessed. And even to watch how that fucking city of this section of Los Angeles was affected and targeted, even to be raised through that shit and to stay clean through that shit, but never lose my memory of what I watched during that shit. And then Dusign says, damn, says, I wonder if Tomlin gonna keep his job, says Asian Math. Man, Tomlin ass may be gone. Tomlin might, if they gonna announce that shit probably by Friday, that they gonna fire his ass. Oh, hell yeah, he gone. That fool fucking what's his name out there? They would love to bring John Harbaugh there. Hell yeah, Tomlin is gone. Yeah, I think Tomlin ass is gone. And the Boxing 101 says Trump was right about everything. Yeah, sure he was. Boxing 101. You ought to hear me cook that dumb motherfucker. He ain't right on shit. And then Kenny Porter's right hand says Patriots defense. He talking about football. And then Through Hill says, I remember that dude says he was your counselor. Says that was crazy. Said that's crazy. Yeah, you're talking about brother. Oh, matter of fact, my own brother been trying to fucking hit me. I would love to get my brother on here when he called me and even bring that, because I'll put him on speaker. I gotta say, man, you remember brother? And he'll be on the same shit. Even the homies who was there, it was a couple of homies. Like I say, we was tripping when we seen that shit. We was tripping. It was crazy because we didn't peep them at first, because everybody, like I said, they were picking up all these kids from all throughout South Central and Compton. These kids fighting like every little stop we make. They going to this person hood. Kids be on the bus throwing up gang signs and shit. Then them niggas start fighting on the bus. A council who ride on the bus got to break this shit up. Then they go to another little section. They hitting each other up or looking at them like, because they know you over in this neighborhood. Oh, they got to be from over here. Then they, little young kids staring at each other, looking all tough and shit. Then they'll fight on that. Before we even get to this camp in Malibu. And Deuce, I think you may have been over in Malibu at the time. I ain't going to even say what it is. But I think I remember telling you that shit because we seen that little area in Malibu and we was throwing rocks over into there. I think you were over there at that time when we was at this fucking camp. But then so we don't even see shit. When we get to this campground in Malibu and shit, these motherfuckers fight off the bus. Soon we get off the bus, we walking in our group off the bus. Some people see each other, they know, they get the trip, and them fools go over to start squabbling. It was probably like, and that trip on our way from when we get picked up, because the homie church is in the 30s. We get picked, no, our homeboy was over in the 30s when we first made our first stop. They pick him up, and then we go on all these places. Well, by the time we get to that camp, we probably done seen a good 12 fights. It could have been more than that. Just good rumbles. And then they go, it's like a church camp. So all these counselors are like ex-prisoners. So we get there to the damn little, like it looks like some little outside campground where they got the little, maybe they do little singing shows, but kind of like concrete bleacher area where they go up in the little tiers. So they want to do prayers. People fight. They start a prayer. The kids get to fighting through their prayer and shit. Like nobody giving a hell about that prayer shit. Like shit, it's some summer camp shit. Parents to send a way to get rid of their old badass kids for the summer for a week or so. And so they fighting during that shit. They got to stop the prayer, break up a fight. So then they go into trying to go back in this prayer. The counselors over that shit. And it turned out to be a good camp. Like even with these people when they passed and what they did, turned out because of a memorable ass fucking camp. They were like, it was great what they put on this shit, especially with the type of kids they were getting. Even I wasn't one of them kind of kids, but still the environment and what surrounds you. So when we doing that, so when they start the fight, we about to do that prayer shit. And mind, we elevated, and the counselor's on the first row. I never seen a white. I didn't even see. No, a lot of us didn't even see this white counselor because the other counselor, but it was another black counselors, like 12 black counselors or some shit. All of them bigger than this dude. So everybody like while they praying this shit, we supposed to have our head bowed. Everybody tapping each other. You know how you tap and go down. Everybody looking like this. And we looking and on top, because we above, you just see a big ass Nazi swastika. And the dude brother always had his shirt off. He always had his shirt off. And we looking like, man, there's white power on this shit. FDN word, his back towards it. You seeing all this shit. And we looking, man, imagine you're a kid, like a teen and shit, seeing this shit. I think we like 13. No, we're like the older group, probably like 13 or some shit. And then kids as young as probably like 9 or 10 or some shit. But seeing this shit and looking at these other black dudes, like we looking like minutes before they did all that what's that shit with Ashton Kutcher and shit, Punked or some shit. This way before that shit, we just thinking like, man, this can't be real. Like, this dude, they gotta be messing with us. And we looking like, ain't no fucking way. And like, he the only white dude. We thinking like, are they scared of this fool? Like, I'm like, in my mind, I know everybody else got different thoughts. My mind running like that. Like, what the hell is this? And then he ended up being our counselor. And we really like, oh, some man, fuck this fool. And even in the mindset, I'm thinking like, we about to off this dude when at night, because we sleeping in tents and shit out there. We about to off this fool. We gonna drop a boulder on his tent or some shit. But then that first day, we in there clowning, we in there acting a fool that first night at that camp. And then we go on this is where we get cool. We go on this hike and shit. And one fool act like he knew where we was going. We lost like a mug out there walking through the little forest out there in Malibu and shit. And this fool was like, these two fools about to fight. There's one dude, he was from Inglewood. No, where is he from? He was from Inglewood family. He later became from Inglewood family or Crenshaw Mafia. But this fool was like, he knew the way. He ended up getting us lost. And the homie who I grew up with, he trying to fight him and shit. And brother, the white dude step in our counselor. We used to be like ignoring that fool. Like, man, fuck you. Like, we out here with this fool. Like, we ought to bash this fool headland out while we out here lost. So when these fools about to fight, he's like, oh, brother, hey, brother, no, we don't. And breaking a fight up, and he's saying some shit. And that's what somebody asked, man, what's up with all this shit on you? And that's the first conversation we had with this fool way out there. And that fool ended up being cool. He telling us about his life and shit. And then we understand it. It gave me a greater understanding on racist ass people. Like, it get no realer than dealing with this experience. That shit is one of the greatest life experiences to me outside of some military shit and other life shit. Was this camp shit with this motherfucker who was a high-ranking motherfucker in that Aryan Brotherhood shit before of course, he debriefed from that shit and turned his life over to religion and shit. Like, when religion can turn people into that way, I ain't got no issue with it at all. Because their teaching is different than what these other people manipulate, what God and all this other shit is. And then, but it changed his life. Like, he over to this shit. And hopefully he remained that way, because some people play with that shit as well. They gain these belief in religion and then abandon that shit and go right back to some more wicked shit. These fools is like real devout, newly reformed Christian ass people. They used to like wake up early in the morning, be in the Bible and praying like when the sun barely rising and shit. But then so that fool ended up being cool. So then our last shit, which had fun, this is back in the 90s. This is like 97 when this shit happened. I'll be trying to check for the internet, and it was just during the time period where there weren't camera phones. Cameras back then were ones you held like a camera. They were barely breaking out of big ass camcorders. You used to sit on your shoulder and film shit with the VHS tapes. I don't think they compacted them yet during this time, or it was rare. But this is Malibu, so if they had compact cameras, somebody probably would have had that shit, but wasn't on the cell phone shit. I'll be wishing somebody recorded that shit, because when we get out to Malibu Beach, Malibu Beach is Malibu. Malibu probably 100% fucking white. We changed the population with all these black kids out there. We are towards the end of this camp, we go to the beach for like our final day or the day before we leave and shit. They take us down to the beach and shit. So it's probably like 150 nothing but black kids. I don't even think a Mexican. The second time we went, we took our homeboy across the street from my sister's house in Norwalk. He went with us the year after, and it may have been like 3 Mexican cats that were there, and maybe his only Mexican dude, and it was some younger group like Mexican girls or some shit. But it was so that first year we went everybody black. So we walking down Malibu Beach, which is an all white ass beach, snobby uppity ass beach. They seen them but black kids. So the people on their boardwalk, they in there reacting to seeing all these black kids, and we watching them because we at the back, we the older kids. We just watching all the white people in there fucking stop and looking at, because we walk in the line, walking to where we gonna be on the beach. All the white people walking like it's some motherfucking slave auction shit. Like, what the hell is going on? Where they looking like where the hell they come from? And we in the back, all the way in the back, just laughing, like watching when they see brothers. So it's fools riding the boardwalk, and I think rollerblading was starting to become a thing at that time. And that shit crazy how all relatively new this shit is. Some people on the rollerblades are fucking in the bikes, and they go by because, like I say, brother always had his shirt off. You see, clear as day, his racist tattoos, white power and shit. F the N word, a big ass swastika on his stomach and shit. And so the white people riding by, they looking like, in mine, ain't nothing behind him, ain't nothing but black kids, and nothing but black kids in front of him. They looking like, wait, what the fuck? Man, you already see we in there dying. When we in there laughing at everybody's reaction as we walking by. Some of the people banking on them bikes and rollerblades, like circling back around to come back around to see if what they see on this fool was real. And we're in there laughing. And it was almost at the same time, we all like, man, they just don't know. Cause we like, damn, this motherfucker is a cool ass white dude. And it's like, yeah, he got all this shit. We understood why they doing all this shit, but we like, they no different than this motherfucker. Because before you see him, you judging all these black kids you see walking down this beach. So it's like, you motherfuckers no fucking different. That's why I've always had this approach on racial shit. Even in high school. That's why I say, even when it comes to black people who cry about racial shit but have no real experience in racism, you ask them for the experience they had. Now, I'm a West Coast black motherfucker with a lot of personal stories on dealing with racial shit and checking that shit, and then being intellectual enough and knowing the history to check that shit. And he says, but yeah, that shit was crazy. And mine, that shit is down there over 30 years ago. Next year, because that had to be like 90, maybe it was 96 when we went. That shit is definitely over 30 fucking years ago. Yeah, that'd be 30 some years ago. And then in the Deuce Time says, oh yeah, you talking about the football, Pats smacking the wait, who did the Pats play? I forgot who the Pats played. And then the Eagles or somebody. And then Asia Mass says, the Deuce Time says Thomas is secure for at least 2 more seasons. Says the Rooneys are well aware of our quarterback situations. Tomlin has a few seasons to correct. And the Deuce Time says, but it wouldn't be nothing. It wouldn't be that bad if they fired Tomlin. They didn't give him great opportunities. He got multiple Super Bowls. Deuce Time says it was booming on the Chargers. And then and Asia Mass says Rodgers is definitely out. And then Rodgers should have never been in. And then Michael Johnson in the building salute. He said, Red says they keep saying and doing shit, says that's anti-black. Oh, all day. But that anti-black shit ain't gonna never work for these fools. They didn't spend centuries trying to be anti-black and failing at the shit. And then Kenny Porter's right hand says, yep, dude, says Pressure Herbert says on 53% of the dropbacks. And then he says 3 interceptions. They talking football. I'm gonna skip some of that football shit because I'm talking this whole ass Trump shit in this history. And he says, and Picasso says, why so much jealousy and hate towards blacks? Says we should be the protected class. They feel inferior to us. Simple as that. But Patricia Sheldon laughing out loud, talking about no ad. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That Trump building that ballroom for all them flat butt bitches, flat butt, training broad wearing ass broads he got over in that administration and in his family. I don't even know how his fucking flat breasted ass daughter even breastfeed. And Melania, like damn, what the baby sucker? I know that shit hurt in a motherfucker. But them old little titty bitches be breastfeeding kids. They definitely was pulling Similac out. They was definitely sneaking out because you know they be having pride. They be acting like they don't buy that chemical shit. They were buying that Similac shit, knowing damn well they are Similac made babies and shit. Because ain't no titty to suck that shit out of. Or else the little titty they do have, the milk just drip all out that shit. And Patricia Sheldon says no sisters. And another box it says we call white chicks, says we call white chicks, why you put an equal sign, says long back, says no butts having, says no butt having. And then you know, I like when I see a thick like white chick, but usually it's the one to be in our area and shit. I remember one time we was damn, who used to roll up? It used to be me, my cousin Archie, my homie who like my brother said, and damn, who else used to roll? We used to ride up the Long Beach City College, not City College, but Long Beach State. I remember the first time going up there with these fools, we was going up there to go crack something. Oh, that's because he had a chick he was messing with, and then I had this little bad Asian broad. She ended up marrying she ended up getting married to some fool was like an executive fool with the Lakers. This bitch is bad. But we up at Long Beach State. I don't even know I said that shit. But no, they wouldn't know. That shit so many years ago. But we going up there, and man, we was up there seeing the white chicks. Oh my God. The funny thing we used to say, yeah, these bitches in there getting, I said, yeah, these chicks in here getting doggy style by us. Cause these was like different type of white chicks at Long Beach State. They was thick as fuck. And then we start, well, I started going up there quite a few trying to crack me one of them little thick ass snow bunnies up at Long Beach State. They was thick as shit up there. Like, God damn. And then Agent Matt says the Thrill Hill says I hope the Texans win in greater fashion. And then Kitty Porter says Pats are going to beat Houston. And then I like to see Houston win that shit with the young quarterback over there. And then Mike Johnson says, just because you are a dumbass, says that is no reason to open your mouth, says improve it. And then Picasso says only in America, yeah. But yeah, that's all I got on this one. But like I say, Trump is a hoe. He's a hoe who's going to have this disastrous end to how things go for him. But I think he's at a point to where his mind is so out of whack that I don't think he gives a fuck. And then even like this shit with what he pulled, he had his Department of Justice to where the Republican Party is going to have to do some real American first shit, and they're going to have to do away with this fool. But the fact they have filed a lawsuit, Trump has forced these people because these people rely on Trump not to fire them. It goes back to what civil rights has done for white folks, because Trump has been able to employ a bunch of white folks in his department who now he holds hostage. And so when people like Mark Summers want to talk about whites were slaves and all that shit, no, they weren't. They're slaves under Trump. Trump is really a plantation full of white folks. That these white folks have to do the dirty dealings of Trump, or else they face an unemployment line. Trump forcing these dudes to do prosecutions and lawsuits that no prosecutor in history would ever pull in life. And that when they get to court, these lawyers are embarrassed. And then these lawyers even face being disbarred from ever practicing fucking law. That he had this lawyer file a lawsuit. Not file a lawsuit, file an investigation against Jerome Powell, who is the head of the feds. As Trump think he can intimidate this dude. And now it's causing internal issues within Trump's own administration as they are starting to question, like, what the fuck is wrong with this fool? And now they're starting to think, like, what the fuck have I aligned? What have I done to my own self by aligning myself with this deranged idiot? And now I'm about to be ruined for life. My political career is doomed by aligning myself with this fool. And they're going to start separating themselves and whistleblowing on this fool. That here these fools, he has forced these people to file an investigation on Jerome Powell, which is going to blow up in their face, like the investigation they try to pull on Lolita James. They try to pull on the past FBI director. They try to pull on the what's the guy Scott, what's the name? Jack Smith and all them other cats that these investigations keep falling apart because they're worthless. Firing people because these are lawyers who are like, man, you can't prosecute this shit. He fires them, try to get some other idiot who just goes in there and tries to yes man some shit, and then they end up failing. Like he's doing all type of deranged shit, but because he's the boss and he comes from out of this, aggressive business world where it's his way or the highway, he's pulling that shit within that administration. And the fact that those people within that administration need those jobs, especially in his economy, to where it's easy money. It's a check coming in. They're doing whatever the hell this dude say to stay on his good side, so that way they don't face being fired by the apprentice that is parading himself as a president. He is none of that shit. He's a dude who don't know what the fuck is going on, but he knows how to steal. It is nothing but a highway robbery. So when money ain't coming in, you things ain't working right. What do people do when they get desperate? they start robbing shit. And that's exactly what this fool is doing. Stealing all type of shit because it ain't working here. All that, what are you talking about? Drill, baby, drill shit ain't work. Venezuela got how much oil? We need that shit. Let's go steal it. Greenland got some of that shit. We need it. Let's go steal it. And we're going to put in my companies. We're going to put shadow companies. We're going to put in this person's name. We actually run it and shit. Then you had them punking and terrorizing these people that even the dumb broad that the Nobel people gave the damn prize to, her terrified ass talking about giving him her damn Nobel Peace Prize. This motherfucker got these weak motherfuckers terrified. It ain't going to work on everybody. The Europeans are ready for his ass. The Iranians. They done kicked off some Iranian shit with the stupid ass citizens over there that done got drawn into a CIA fucking purge revolution over there to where it ain't gonna work. And some of the idiots through the internet paid attention to all the political societal interference through America's CIA being involved and creating an uprising amongst its youth. And then they take to the streets to rebel against their government. And then there's also a thing of Trump now talking about going into taking military actions in Iran. Like, this dude is just gone. And that would forces China, Iran, and Russia to conduct these little military things they got going on down in South Africa. But that's all I got, folks. Catch you on the next one. Salute. And let me say this again. To Mark Summers, the white guys who came in here to spew out that shit. It was a dude named, Mark Summers always in here. I'm always schooling. This dude named School Account. This dude, how you say this fool name? 87, S87, where the fuck the name is. It was another white dude in here. There's some new dudes who I ended up schooling. But look, it also put fear of God in them by hearing the shit that I was spitting. And how knowledge based I am with this shit, that when telling these fools if they want the link to jump on here and they can speak, I don't cut people off. Mark Summers know that shit. He done been over for a long time getting drugged through the mud off the shit I say. This dude Lee Wine, there was another fool named School Account in here. This dude, and I told these fools, drop the link. Just state you want to drop the link so you can speak your side of shit. And guess what? They went silent. These fools went dark ops silent because they're afraid to get on here and speak all that ignorant shit. Because when you speak it, it got to get challenged. We go back, have back and forth. They don't want to do none of that shit. They's used to talking to people who are more like these types that love the Trumps. They used to talking to these type of people and influencing these types. These types that buy everything. Salute to my brother Matt Ev. He says white folks are the best thieves ever, and destroyers as well. You get thinking about what they've done to the planet, and then Picasso in there rolling to animal species, all this shit. Oh, this is what I want to say, man. I was tripping off of the other day. I was watching Kev Mack's show, and I was listening to OG Cutes talk about because he be giving a lot of history. I be loving listening to it. He was talking about the cans. Like the soda pop can doesn't come out until later year. Why was it like 2 or 3 weeks ago? I was tripping off of like just how we got products in here, and I was tripping off of the design of the soda can. And I was thinking like, how did somebody create that shit? Like, who invented the soda can where you just pop a top and you open it? Like, now how do you even create the lid, the top part of the can where this little lid, you lift on it and it presses the front part down for you to open it. And it's like, I was like, that was genius. And to think about what other countries can do to create industry and this and that. And I was just thinking about that shit. And then to hear yesterday in live, where he was talking about a story, and then to bring up about the thing with the soda can. Because he was talking about before, you used to have the can opener and shit. I guess how you pop a beer can and shit, or soda pop. And then Picasso says our bottled sodas came in bottles and shit. Use a bottle opener. But I was thinking about soda cans like 2 weeks ago, like the design them, like who came up with that design to make it, easier access and more accessible and a better feature for drinking. Like you do these, like change this thing. Always be thinking about shit from some economic shit and business standpoints and revolutionizing shit and changing things, making things more easier to flow. And that's the thing I'll be looking at for like a scumbag to go in the White House. You look for solutions to shit like that to make things better, not to create drama and issues and chaos. Like, what the fuck is he doing? Like, and if Acosta says, what do white people do during the blackout? Go fuck the goat. That's what they do. Go out to the barn when nobody can see them and jump on top of the goat. And then and if Acosta says about Ken, says the black woman invented foil. Did she? Because I think you got to manufacture foil. I don't know where you are. Let me check that one, Picasso. Let me check that one. Or could she come with the patent? Because aluminum is a process. Aluminum just don't come out with that. So I don't know. Let me see. Aluminum foil. Let's check that out. Aluminum. Let me give you a credit. Let's check the history on that one. Because foil is a process, Picasso. I don't know about that one. Let's go into that. Let's go into aluminum foil, see who get credit for creating that. I don't know about that one, about a black woman or even a black dude or just some regular white dude. I had to be somebody who ran factory or industry to create this shit. He says American foil, says aluminum foil, says a pair thin sheet of metal, says foil is palatable, says it can be readily bent and wrapped around objects. So let me see. So Europe or America annual productions. So Europe produces the most aluminum foil, so they must wrap a lot of shit. So aluminum foil supplanted tin foil, says in the mid 20th century. It says in the UK and the United States, it is often informally called tin foil. It says just a steel can are often called tin cans. Let me move past that. History says foil made from thin leaf of tin, says was commercially available before its aluminum counterpart. Tin foil was marketed commercially from the late 19th into the early 20th century. It says tin foil survived in the England. The term tinfoil survives in the English language as a term for the newer aluminum foil. Tinfoil is less malleable than aluminum foil, and tends to give a slight tin taste to food wrapped in it. Does it? Unless they treat it. I ain't never taste foil off of that. So here's who invented it. Says tinfoil was replaced by aluminum in 1910. Says when the first aluminum foil rolling plant. So yeah, it got to come out of a plant. Yeah, I don't know where you got the black lady invented that stuff, Picasso. Yeah, I don't know where you got that from. Some blah blah blah. Yeah, I don't know where you got that from. Like you would have to have a factory because this oil is a metal, which I think you got to process that shit. So yeah, we just can't throw out information like that and it ain't true. And then he says yes, and then but yeah, I don't see the black lady. Like for you to throw that out, you have to know her name and us to pull up on that shit. But I doubt it. She'll have to have a factory and all that shit. So yeah, that's not true. Yeah, foil is made through a manufacturing process. It ain't like you mixing the ingredients or this and that shit. And it's the way you process that shit. So she ain't got the machines. He says Mary Kenner. Let's see who Mary Kenner is. So let's go into there. So you got some info. I'm gonna type it in. I'm gonna figure out who she is. So Mary Kenner says, man, this shit don't say nothing about her inventing no goddamn foil. Oh, let me read this shit. So oh wait, did I pull hold on, I pulled up the wrong one. All right, let's check who this lady is Picasso talking about. All right, so Mary Kenner was an American inventor, says most noted for her development of the adjustable sanitary belt. The hell is the sanitary belt? Oh, pads. Picasso, bro. We gotta get our facts right. Oh shit. Says Kidder received 5 patents. Says so she invented pads and shit. So the menstrual shit women need every month. Says including the carrying attachment, says for invalid walker and bathroom tissue dispenser. So yeah, that was false Picasso. She invented pads so women can thank her. So she a clean black one. She fine as fuck too. She is fine as hell. She made sure she kept that thing right. She knew how to design that. So there she go. She's like, I am a lady. Ain't no way I'm be walking around bleeding out this thing. I'm a lady. So she kept that thing cleaned up. Said, no, you gotta wait. Reggie, you gotta wait to get this thing. It's not ready, it's bleeding. That mean I ain't got your baby. And then so she worked a professional floor arranger. Yeah, she ain't got nothing to do with no goddamn aluminum foil. They said she was married to some boxing heavyweight, says James Jabbo Kenner. Says they lived in McLean, says it's McLean, Virginia, says near the Kennedy family complex. Says they were foster parents to 5 boys. So yeah, Picasso was way wrong on that one, man. Way wrong on that one. He's just making that shit up. You gotta stop making fake history up. He says, and don't forget Reynolds. Reynolds is probably a white company, Picasso. And then they laughed at something. I don't know if it was something Picasso wrote or what I said. And the bread and the water rolling. Madev says can't read. And he says Rez don't says Rez didn't know it was a pad. Laugh out loud. Oh, when I just read it was elastic belt. Yeah, no, I didn't. I was wondering what that shit was. They could have just said a damn pad. And then Justin says you're trash. He says you're stupid. Justin, that shit, you came in here too late to spew out that shit. You must have been listening to me earlier, bashing you dummies with the truth, just bashing the truth can over your head. Picasso says you was asking who invented pads last week. Man, get the fuck out of here. He thought I ain't asked no shit about no pads. I'm a pad motherfucking enemy. I'm the enemy of pads and tampons because I don't like the period. And then Justin says stupid. And then Matt says we thought all white folks says not thought, he meant taught, says we taught all white folks how to wash their ass. And Nano Boxing laughing at Picasso says I believe Picasso. Nah. And then Justin there just writing stupid shit. Brendan are laughing at this fool Picasso. And Justin says you don't good for black people. I'm lost on you. Gotta learn to write, Justin, man. You write like a little ass child, idiot. And he was writing talk, and he says, I don't know what he writing, Picasso and they're rolling. And then and he says a week later, says Picasso was answering your question. Right, this motherfucker Picasso is about as loony as shit, man. Somebody put him in a arm bar for like 30 minutes or some shit. Oh my God. No, they put that in the triangle choke for like 30 minutes and shut the blood off his brain and shit. So he be delayed on coming back with an answer. But I don't think I ever asked anything. If I had a question on who invented the pad, I would type it in here. I ain't never asked about no goddamn pad. This fool, you came out talking about a black woman developed aluminum foil and shit. So what she put aluminum foil in that pad? Maybe she was doing that shit. And the Picasso says, my bad, says foil and pads, says you still wrapping up the meat. This fool stupid. Women don't got meat, man. They got a taco. And then they said Justin and they in there laughing and shit. Yeah, that fool in there making up shit because he wrong, man. Yeah, we're gonna fact check everything. We're gonna fact check everything there, Picasso. You wrong on that shit. Wrong on that shit. Then this dude Justin in here like, Justin, you gotta go to the beginning, man. You'll hear me tell some truth that may really offend you. Because it's gonna go opposite of what your granny and grandmother and dad and mother who are really brother and sister, what your grandmother and grandfather who are also brother and sister have taught their little offsprings. Then they pass that on to you. And then maybe you got kids with your sister. So I don't want you teaching, you little ancestral motherfuckers the wrong shit. So you should listen to the beginning of this one, Justin. I laid out some real shit. And look, here we go once again, which is a common thing for white folks who get on here and want to spew out racist shit. And then they get over here and listen to me talk. And then the first thing they do is call me racist. Like I said, that's common. That's why I tell the military story. Remember I tell that story in the military about what the fools try to label me as? And he says, he talking about what meat? Talking about women be wrapping they tampons because they got wrapped they meat. He talking about trannies wearing tampons. And he says, he says something I am. Says, can you imagine Picasso reading reading bedtime stories to he was making up shit. The story can be Cinderella. It turned into one of his MMA fights. That nigga have a flashback reading the damn kids the book. He ended up putting the kid in the triangle choke and they be asleep and shit. And then this fool says I'm a racist. But like I say, I'm used to that shit when I tell the truth. Like I said, that was the one thing these fools. I'm around all these old racist ass motherfuckers in the military. And out of all the people in this motherfucking unit to get called racist is me. Because I ain't one of these old turn the other cheeks, let you say the bullshit that you accustomed to saying from the little villages you come from, that you got around me and you done heard some shit be replied to these motherfuckers, and it was nerve-wracking than a motherfucker. And then these idiots try to go into operation, kick this jigaboo out. And none of that shit worked. It went from be spitting on a high-ranking motherfucker, body slamming old badge-wearing motherfucker, checking motherfuckers all day, regardless of their fucking rank, not respecting these peon motherfuckers. Like, please. And then just walk out of that motherfucker cool as the breeze. None of that PTSD shit, none of that other shit. Just left that mug. And then as a regular ass person, not affected how other people are because people refuse to exercise, to check themselves. You got to do mental checks and evaluate yourselves. And that's why I be big about mental health, like where people at. That's why I always get on here about people not crying. That's why I like how you can get on here. We can talk shit to each other. I think that shit is good for developing and building on that shit. That's the reason why I do that shit. And like I say, we can get in heated shit, talk crazy to one another for a moment, and then guess what? We get right by that shit, and then here we are having brotherly conversations in this motherfucker. Rather than reactionary and just being emotional, ignorant motherfuckers, and then holding that shit and hating each other. That's why I let motherfucking crazy ass Ben Israel on this mug. Because even he'll learn through that shit. He's still in the development through that shit. Or we talk shit all the time. If somebody new get on and talk shit and people be lost on why you saying that shit, at the end of that shit, people realize, man, you ain't really saying shit. You become mentally stronger. You ain't emotionally weak on your emotional intelligence, and know how to get past this shit. Because what we recognize as you look through the internet, a lot of people love to talk shit because a lot of people love to troll people because they get a rise out of people reactions and losing a head gasket. The minute people show you they can't do that shit is the minute they have to start acting intelligent around you. It's a method to not even madness. It's a method to intelligence, homie. And then Box says, oh yeah, I read that one. Talking about Picasso. This fool Picasso crazy as fuck. This Justin dude says, how stupid and weak feminist black males have become. No, you got to ask your women because the women believe that of y'all. That's why the women don't have kids with y'all. That's why y'all women run over here for greater satisfaction with us. That's why y'all marry women and can't have kids with them. And you end up having to own little golden retrievers and shit. You got to spend your time on the lake fishing and doing all this wilderness shit as you try to find a way of meditating and talking to the universe, really talking to God. God, why? Please, God, answer my call. Send a message to this bitch vagina. Lord, please talk to her vagina. I did it the right way. My parents and the priest told me to do it. Make her a righteous woman. Make her a Puritan woman and marry her. And I put a ring on her finger and I honor you, dear Father. Now she won't have sex with me. She has me calling the dog my child. But they come to us and get Longwood and shit. Yeah, y'all get them after they went to college, lived a slut life, and they get with y'all and settled in on that librarian shit. All their good years been wasted. And then, but the smart ones end up just having our babies and want to be with us and shit. And then we fuck with them. And the justice says, you should be ashamed. I ain't ashamed of none of that shit. Just respond to your stupid ass. And Picasso says they point the finger at Reggie, says because they had something to hide. And then Ano Boxing says a conversation between Picasso and Ben Israel would be epic, man. That shit would be kind. But Ben, you can't get that fool to talk, man. You ain't get that fool to talk right. And then, but yeah, that's all I got. Justin, man, I wish you would have jumped on here earlier and said, you wanted to jump on here and speak. I'll let you speak just for the world. But then you'll reveal to the world that you're not an intelligent person, bro. And all the trolling stuff, and you see, I read, and this is shit that fucks people up like you. Is the fact I put your comments on the screen, I read them, don't react negatively to them. My disrespect is so high, I can just clown you. As simple as that, because I think your comments are funny. And then to hear you say I'm a racist when you're trying to be racist, you just think that you have to use the N word to express to be exposed as a racist. People don't do the N word thing anymore. Don't work that way, but you tried it other ways. And then it's levels to it because Trump is on a different level of that racist shit. And then Autobox says, "Oh yeah, I read that one." And then Picasso says I'm letting go. Says I'm letting go English. Says and learning a new language from a small village in the Philippines. Oh, that's because you got a Filipino broad, man. Fool, the mail order him a chicken shit. She don't pussy with this fool where he about to learn what they talk Tagalog or something. Oh my God, man. She came to your motherfucking country and you about to learn her fucking Picasso became a sucker, man. He about to learn the language of this lady come from the poorest country on earth, and he about to learn her language in his 50s. God damn, you crazy as shit. And I think they talk, wait, no, they talk Spanish. I'm tripping. Wait, no, what do they talk? No, they don't talk. No, I think they do talk Spanish and they talk some other shit. Or what are them fools in the Philippines? No, Filipinos talk some other shit. But I think that Tagalog or some shit. Yeah, Picasso, pussy whipped like a mug. He about to learn this lady language. She about to have this fool packing up, leaving Texas to go to her country, and he gonna be riding on a moped and shit. You crazy as hell. And then Autoboxing says, and that red says is why white dudes hate us. Says because their women love, and that's exactly right. And guess what you don't see anymore? You don't see that Justin motherfucker writing in the chat no more. Always right about all this shit, homie. He ain't writing in that chat no more. And Picasso says, what the hell is that? Says Re-Ray says, what is that? Re-Ray is the language. Oh, they must got a lot of languages in there. She must be from like super poor region. She got this fool whipped. This fool about to go learn some shit. He barely learned no English, about to learn some shit from way over there. Man, fucking crazy. You might as well go into projects and learn some of that poor ass shit, man. This fool about to go to the Philippines and pick up on a new language. Your ass is crazy, Picasso. Oh my God, man. You need a great laugh. This fool Picasso is always gonna make you laugh, man. That shit ain't even a language. She probably told you that shit. This fool crazy as hell with that shit. That he says, Kenny Porter's right hand says Picasso says is on his Dante's vaccination shit. Yeah, this fool going out like Dante's vaccination with it, man. And he says moped says I'm gonna have a scooter says with gold rims and shit. He probably is. She's gonna have her whole family. You're gonna be a stepdaddy to all them kids she done had by other Americans and shit. You fucking nuts, man. You fools is nuts, man. It'd be nothing worse when I see these fools over here who can't get laid. Go find one and win from these other countries who done left that shit to come to America to pussy whip some American fool, can't get laid with American chicks and have you sending money back there. Get there and then bam, voila, she got about like 8, 6 foot, 7 foot tall kids and shit. Like shit. All them American GI motherfuckers going over there just busting motherfuckers. Y'all fucking crazy as hell, man. Y'all gonna learn the game and shit. But what makes you happy, go with it. And then in the matter it says more like a gold helmet for real. The gold helmet, you're gonna be sending gold bars about to milk this fool Picasso. She probably doing some freaky shit. I know them chicks over there, Because them chicks who come from them countries that be trying to get Americans, where them idiots called passport bros are going over there thinking they meeting some better women and all that shit, not knowing they fucking with prostitutes. That's and them fucking type of idiots, man, them chicks over there know how to fuck like a motherfucker. They study the art of fucking. Even in India, they was doing that Kama Sutra shit. That was for them to fuck with British people. That wasn't for them to fuck with them old dirty ass FBI director Patel looking motherfucker. That was for them to get freaky with British government motherfuckers. And then Picasso says, I saw Dante says, and says in Baccarat, what is that? In Boracay says, but he was standing on the wall, says in the airport, says looking mad. And then, oh, that's how you found the chick, Picasso, man, for over there, mail ordering hoes and shit. But folks, that's all I got it. I'm on out this mug. Peace out, goddammit. Y'all be good. Catch y'all on the next one. Peace.